Goody? Let me know when we are on the air. I hear it.
I think I got you.
I hope so.
Yeah, our bars are lit up. Sorry about that, people. We were trying to figure it out. Windows did an automatic update and totally screwed with all the sound settings I had, so. It's me. It's Bill. We're hanging out. It's a Wednesday.
Stunning video as always. Did he get a new camera or something? Did he update something? Because it looks sharper than ever, Keith.
He has the fiber optic. And it's still not perfect yet. We're waiting. We have the AT&T person has to come out. But once that happens, but he did order the 4K camera.
Because it really, the image is very sharp and clear. You can see.
Oh, yeah, it's popping.
It's last night was excellent.
Yeah, it was real good early.
Yeah, it was, again, stunning. And like I've always said, even on the radio when I go on, I always mention you guys like Friday night, I'm going to be interviewed for a show.
I know, you're like our ShamWow guy.
And I'm going to mention you and, of course, Mark and Chris, because Chris is doing, and Astro Imaging. I mean,
Elliot.
Yeah, Elliot.
Yep.
He's in the chat now, I believe.
Yeah, I seen him. He just got in there when I was messing around with the things. I didn't get a chance to say hi to him. But, hey, people in the chat, you want to let us know that you can hear us? Just in case, so we're not, like, talking to you and you're not hearing us. I'm pretty sure you are, because everything's lit up on the green side of OBS. I'm pretty sure we're going out. Actually, let me just test it. Just to be safe.
I hope.
Yes, it looks like it's going out. So, yeah. But, man, he's getting in there tonight, boy.
Yep, I see that right now. I'm probably not that far behind on actual. Do you know what the delay is? Maybe
I have it at 30 seconds tonight just because of that lag. So it is a 30-second delay between. Oh, actually, you know what? No, it's not. It's a 6. Okay, yeah, it is. It's a 30-second delay between what I'm seeing and what YouTube's seeing.
Because like right now, the image that I'm seeing on YouTube.
Yeah, that big crater.
Yeah, I have not seen the image like this. I cannot remember it being this sharp right there in that crater right now.
Oh, and just imagine it's going to get even better.
Wow. Is there any way to change the contrast a little bit to bring out that darkness, or that's just because of the...
Sure, I can do all that on this. And right now, I'm not messing with anything Paul's doing, but if I wanted to, I could literally... of course, he pulled out right when I do it.
Obviously, those are the shadows.
Oh, yeah. And they look a lot different than they did last night, even on the same areas. Let me see here.
Excellent shot.
There we go.
You talk to him that I said hello.
There we go. There we are. We'll go a little bit more contrast, but yeah, because I want him to get his settings right. Because because he's a perfectionist, so when he has his settings just right, I know then it'll always revert back to at least something good, whatever I mess up on this end.
So tell me, how was the trip to Wyoming?
It was great. It was great to get away. And if I had to use one word to describe it, it'd be humbling. Because of the fact of, like, just being able to walk outside and look straight up and see the entire Milky Way above you. Yep. It's just, you just realize how small we actually are.
This is why Mark wants to get to those darker skies over there.
Oh, yeah, I agree. It was, it was amazing.
Did you have issues with your connection?
No. I mean, we did pretty good. I mean, for what we were streaming and for the equipment that we had, it was perfect because we had the entire campground to ourselves. So that entire campground's, internet was ours. There was nobody else pulling off of it.
Right.
Not even the office. And they ended up giving us it was supposed to be like $400 or $500 for the week for us to have the RV there and everything. You know what they charged us?
What?
$150.
Wow.
The entire time.
Wow, that's awesome.
Right? Got invited back.
I was just going to ask you that. Open invitation for a second time.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure, because Paul talked to her separately, but I talked to the lady, and I was trying to talk to her about something like if she wanted some income in the fall and actually doing a P&K thing out there. You know what I mean? Like 3 or 4 day, like a long weekend, and everybody just meets out to anybody that wants to come, like a big telescope meetup.
If you give me ample time to take off from the radio station, I think I'm gonna have to go on the next trip. Got to.
Yeah, man, it was absolutely amazing. I mean,
So I'll set up the camera too, do the wide view.
That's what we were missing. We were missing, like we both said when we were out there, like, man, can you imagine if we had Bill's camera right now?
Yep.
Because we don't have, like, that's just an expensive camera, just not even in, our realm. Like, we could get it, but it doesn't justify getting it for what we do. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. There's put it this way: you can use that money for other things that you guys need as a prioritized item.
Yeah.
To use for this.
Yeah, which he did. He's got the 4K camera coming for the telescope, and with that upgraded fiber optics, we no longer, like, our times are going to be a lot shorter between what Paul sees and what YouTube sees. It's going to be maybe a total of 12 seconds when it's all said and done.
Mm-hmm.
And the clarity is going to be off the charts, especially when it comes to planets, because once we get the fiber optic, and I mean, we have it now. We're still waiting for AT&T to come in and tweak some stuff because it's not behaving like it's supposed to. Once that happens, that all of a sudden puts the 11 and 12-inch scopes in play because of resolution.
What now? This is something that came out yesterday because he has the Meade. Is there any way, like I have the go-to, the Orion, is there any way to hook up a tracker, or will you have to get just based on the base, to mount it?
What kind is it?
Well, you know what I have. You want to take it out of my garage?
Yeah, no, but what brand is it again?
It's the Orion go-to.
I have to know what the software thing is because Astronomy Live just came out with his tracking software.
Right.
That he's letting people test. And I know Mark was going to test it. But it looks really, really promising. It's just a click and track. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. This is what I'm saying for you guys.
Yeah, and it depends what software it runs on. And it all depends on the teething system of your scope as well. So if you don't have pretty good, like, small teeth where it can track, where you're not going to do that whole step down thing, which a lot of the bigger, scopes have, like the 9-inch and the 10-inch and all the way up to the 14-inch, have these really fine tooth systems that are able to track really quick if you do put an automated program on there.
Because it would be interesting to get this other moon around Earth, and if you can track it and lock into it, even though it's the size of an asteroid, really, it's not a moon, but still, it's considered a moon because it has a consistent orbit around our planet. But that would be pretty cool to get a tracking just to see that.
Right.
Something, you've seen this moon. Well, now you're going to see the other, quote, moon, unquote.
He's just a little guy. And I think, if I'm understanding Paul correctly right now, he just texted me and he said, I think he might be setting up the 11.
Right now?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think. I'm not sure. Let me see. Yeah, so that's why we're on the wide field right now, so you can set that up, and you might have to culminate that 11-inch a little bit.
Now, are there any astronomical events that you guys are going to be focused on within the next month or so that you're looking forward to doing?
Nope. We're going straight moonshot. We're getting this, and then we are going to do some planetary stuff. Once everything sets up and with the bigger scopes. Mm-hmm. So we're going to try to do a lot more planetary stuff off moon cycle.
Yeah, because I'll tell you one thing. This is a stunning shot. It is.
And this is the shot we catch the most stuff on.
Oh, I would believe it. It's more of the wide view.
Yeah.
Have you caught anything of interest lately?
Not lately. Not ever since the bow tie.
Yeah, I saw that. That was good.
Oh, and the Devil's Tower UFOs. Which that video I was hoping to get done today, but it won't be done today.
I was going to say I haven't seen that yet.
Well, here's the funny thing about the Devil's Tower UFOs is we had the camera on a 6-second exposure. So every 6 seconds it was giving us an image because of the light. I mean, it's pitch dark out there. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't be able to see nothing. Of course, we didn't have a proper camera, so we were using the actual moon camera, and we were upping the exposure and everything on it. So we were looking through there, and being on a 6-second exposure, you see these two lights come up from the bottom and start veering off to the left, and then a red light come up from beside there and head straight. Now, of course, the first thing you would think of is, okay, is that maybe a shooting star? It's going way too slow for that. And then you realize shooting stars don't stop and start again. This thing, because of course, when you're doing exposure, say if you're looking at a plane, you can just count the dots. You know, and you can tell it's a, you know, what it is. Well, this thing had 6 dots. Next image has 6 dots. Next it has 2 dots. Next one, no dots, just the one, you know, where you can see it. And then the next one, out of nowhere, another 6 dots. So it came in, slowed down, stopped, and this was over, you know, 24 seconds. And you're like, okay, what kind of thing comes into frame? Stop. And you couldn't see it with the naked eye. We were out there looking at that patch of sky, and we could see nothing. Well, but we saw it on the stream.
I actually want to ask you something. That we're talking about this kind of stuff, and you know what my involvement is with KGRA. But there is a guest that's going on Friday night on Dan Ecker's show, and he's done a lot of films, documentaries on UFOs. But he also did one. I don't know if this is the exact name. Aliens on the Moon. There was a big documentary that.
Please tell me it's Robert Kiviat.
It is.
I kind of guessed.
Would you want him?
Well,
you know what I mean? To talk about the moon, and he's looking at the moon, and you guys can go back and forth. It'll be definitely one of those.
Well, here's my problem. Here's my problem with Robert Kiviat, and I'm not saying he's a bad guy at all. I'm just saying here's my one problem that I would have with him, and maybe I should talk to him just to find out why.
This is why I'm asking you if you want him as a guest.
When he was doing Aliens on the Moon, and of course, you know, he had our good friend Mark on that as well, and Mark went, you know, out of his way to make a whole bunch of explanations and do this, and they literally sat there and told him, "Well, that'll never make the air. That'll never make it."
Yes.
You know, given, you know, so it's like, why? I understand you're trying to make a entertaining program, but why not provide the other side of the argument as well?
Agreed, and it also takes things out of context.
Right. So, I mean, you had this entire Aliens on the Moon program, and you have them taunting having Mark on the entire show. The entire thing. Soon we have MUFON's expert, blah, 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 expert, you know, photo and video analyst, da, 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 da. And then finally they get him on at the end, and they're chopping his speech up, you know, making him say what they wanted and not exactly what he said, you know, and the proof that he was given. Now, once again, I realize he was making, you know, a entertainment thing, because obviously, you know, the point of those is to make money, to make your money back. So, but I mean, he has done a lot of like work with a guy named Bill, another guy named Bill. He does a lot of debunking work and stuff like that. And it seems to me, from what I've seen of him, he does take the science into consideration, because he will debunk a lot of stuff that people are saying are UFOs and whatnot. Yeah. You know? So
if you think of that of Kiviat, I can't imagine if I try to get you a Hoagland on with you. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, me and Hoagland might be back and forth a little bit.
Oh my.
But yeah, I mean, well, maybe not, you know. That's the biggest thing with me. Like, I don't want to, and I've said this before, I don't want to come off as like because it's everything can get lost in just speaking without actually seeing somebody when you're talking to them. I don't want to come off as like a, you know, pompous person and, you know, oh, you're wrong, you're stupid for believing, you know, I don't want to come off like that. It's the same reason why I was thinking about having Bruce All on, but I was like, I don't want to come off as a jerk to him when I tell him that the stuff that he's, like, the answers to the stuff that he's seeing. You know what I mean?
When Mark does a lot of this stuff for MUFON, most, if not 99% of the time, he's giving them answers they don't want to hear, and then they get upset and they rant and they go off, you know, in their direction, and Mark is left there. You know,
and next thing you know, Mark is a government shill. He's paid for it by the government and all that stuff. But you know, our point of view. Listen, once again, and I say this to the people that are just now watching us: we at P&K are not debunkers.
Right.
We don't set out to debunk stuff, but we do try to set out to gain the proof through verification in scientific ways. So if something, say, could be a flock of birds, or it could be something, that has to stay on the table until you prove otherwise that it's not. It has to remain on the table. You can't dismiss it.
Yes. You have to go through all the logical, reasonable, rational explanations before you get to that end game of the unknown.
Yeah. Like, it just, you know, I get it. You know, it's easy just to say everything flying around is an alien craft and whatnot, but, you know, if there's an explanation, it has to stay part of the probability.
Exactly. I would never jump off that. I would never go that way unless I know for sure that what I see is unexplainable.
Right.
But first, it has to be vetted and has to go through the proper channels, not just from myself, but from the advice of others, especially like a person like Mark. And then you're going to see it,
Right.
and then we take it from there. But you have to. You don't want to just be known as some clickbait channel saying UFOs found on.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I clickbait the titles, no doubt. I'm clickbaiting you every chance I get with the titles. But the thing is, when you come to this channel, you're helping with the research with your eyes. And that's the point. Absolutely. Now people might come on here now in the generation that we live in now, where people want instant gratification and all this, people might come on here and go, well, I thought you were just going to show me the stuff that you caught. We don't do that. You're coming here to actually help research and help watch the moon. Yes, astronomy is a very patient thing. Like, we could sit here for 3 hours and not see nothing. But the one thing that is true is that if we're not looking at the moon, we have a 0% chance of seeing anything.
And that's the emphasis that a lot of people should take to themselves, because if you're not looking up and if you're not being observant about your surroundings and what's going on, you're never going to see nothing.
Exactly.
We're so worried about and we should be to a certain degree about our immediate surroundings, because that's the environment that we live in. Right. But at the same time, there's a lot going on above us. And you can say, we can talk about secret space programs, we can talk about military satellites, etc. But yes, there's a lot going on above us right now. And like you said, I stream for sometimes 10, 12 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Holy moly.
The majority of those times, well, I would say 99% of those times, we see nothing unusual that you can deem as saying, okay, now this has to be checked. It's usually, like you said, birds, satellites, planes, but it's a natural phenomenon.
Right.
You have to go through all those first before you can even reach any other conclusion.
We had somebody in here last night trying to get us to be a part of, like, oh, you want to be a part of this with, and trying to see the moon. I was like, we're already doing that. I said, between here, we have Take Back Space, Chris over Take Back Space. The first thing I'm going to do if we see something cross the moon is look around for any of our partners that are also streaming the moon right now.
And seeing the same thing going.
Because if we go over there and they saw the same thing and say, once again, Mark in Connecticut, we know that the thing is by the moon, because we're 1,000 miles apart between Miami and Connecticut. If they're seeing the same thing cross the moon at almost the exact same time, it means it's by the moon.
Right.
That's the whole, cross-referencing. I mean, we can jump to Astronomy live stream. We could jump to, of course, Take Back Space. Mark, and now obviously you don't do the moon much anymore, which is why I'm stealing your telescope. But, by the way, I already stole it when you weren't looking.
David makes a good point. I understand that people have short attention spans, but the thing is, this is science-based. And there are, believe it or not, I'm sure that you get people that come into this channel and may be seeing the moon for the first time like this.
Tons are mesmerized just by seeing the moon like this, that they'd have never seen it like this.
Exactly. And for those that are familiar with the channel, they already know this is what you guys do. So it's not something of a surprise when you're doing the moon in this way. But at any given time, like you just mentioned, something could go across that screen. We're not saying it's a UFO, but it's an interesting object that we should try to figure out what it is. It could be a satellite in front of the screen. It could even be a plane. Like you said, birds. It could be anything.
Well, that's just all hope for something to come zooming in, stop, sit there for like a second, and then zoom off in the other direction.
Now,
then we'll know what we're looking at.
My question is, if he zooms out, right?
Right.
He zooms out. Can we see if there's more deployment of satellites, or supposedly there's going to be this mission that I think a Japanese billionaire is going on to go to the first flight to the moon as a passenger or something like that?
Right. He's going to go orbit.
Yeah, exactly. Would we be able to see that orbit?
It'd be tough. I'm pretty sure like guys like Astronomy Live, who are very technical and very into the science, would be able to track it from launch to finish. As for viewing, I mean, you got to realize that just this section that we're viewing right now, just this, little quarter of the moon right here, you're looking probably at over 1,000 miles. 1,000 miles. So, think of something the size of, let's say even something the size of a Saturn V rocket.
So small.
It would be probably in the 16th of a pixel at this vantage point. When we're zoomed all the way in, it might be maybe, if we're lucky, 1/8 of a pixel. I mean, that's what people don't understand. Like, I don't think people really give credit for how big the moon actually is. Like, you look at it here and you can see all the edges, especially when we zoom out, and they're like, it's smaller than Earth. And, well, then again, people don't really realize how big the Earth is either, because you got people thinking the Earth is flat. You know what I mean? The Earth is huge. 8,000-mile diameter.
You know what? I don't even address them anymore. I won't even give that any kind of credence by even mentioning Fe, which is what you just said.
Yeah.
Because it's so preposterous.
Right.
It doesn't deserve any credulity. It doesn't. You shouldn't even. You know what I mean? It's like so out there. It's so ridiculous that I won't even talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it's just something that is.
Well, it's just like Mark said. If you are flat Earth, you have to be anti-science. If you are flat Earth,
I mean,
you have to be. There's no other way.
It's a Stone Age approach.
Yeah.
It basically.
I think it's just the internet age and the internet culture too. I think people like something to believe in, and it gets a following, and then you hear a couple YouTube channels saying stuff that they act like they know what they're talking about.
Add to the list, Keith.
Yeah, very true.
That's the kind of environment. Like I said earlier, we live in that environment. Everything is conspiratorial.
I know. Everything's a conspiracy.
It is, and that's just added to the list.
Yeah,
just like the landing on the moon.
Yeah, or the fake space, or
I mean, the list goes on, and this is because it's specifically designed to the space field.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, the government's done it to itself. By being so secretive, they've pretty much caused their own.
Of course, when we see the ISS cameras go down at a certain coincidental.
Yeah. Well, not only that, what did it? What really sealed the fate of government conspiracies is when Operation Northwoods got released and declassified. And you remember what Operation Northwoods was?
Not off the top of my head.
Operation Northwoods was basically put in plain English that the United States military was going to bomb their own warship and blame it on Cuba. They were going to bomb U.S. cities and say that Cuba did it as an excuse to invade Cuba.
False flag.
False flag. Total false flag in writing, signed by the people, and Kennedy rejected it. He said, "No way, this ain't happening," and couldn't even believe that they even thought of something like this.
But see, that opens up the whole can of worms when you talk about Kennedy,
right?
Which is actually the 50th anniversary, I believe, or something like that. It's not 50. It cannot be. 55th, maybe something like that. But or 56. That's why Kennedy wanted to open up everything. He wanted to go in and open it all to the public.
Yep.
About all the stuff that was going on behind the scenes.
Right.
And Truman was the one that was instrumental in getting this all started with Eisenhower and all the others.
Yeah.
The secrecy.
And, it's crazy. Eisenhower warned us too. He warned everybody about how powerful the military would become.
So it's just one of those things where Kennedy wanted to, be straightforward with the American people, and he actually wanted to be more revealing about exactly what we were doing. And I'm sure that's why it's part of the whole conspiracy.
Yep.
That they may have been involved in his demise.
Yep.
So we have this all the time go on when you're in this conspiratorial theme.
Yeah, and I understand the conspiracy there. But once they declassified that Operation Northwoods, that pretty much what started all the complete distrust in the government with valid reason.
Absolutely, it goes back for decades.
Because just look at somebody that actually would sit there, somebody that's not in the conspiracy world, or even just a wayward person. They read this and go, "Our government was going to bomb one of our own cities." Mm-hmm. To make an excuse to invade another country.
Well, it happened with the WMDs, remember, with Iraq.
Yep. And it's I
don't want to get into the political sphere. That's why people are so suspicious.
And and that's what I mean. You really can't blame them.
No,
You know,
at all.
but it's there's a fine line between being a conspiracy person or being a person that doesn't believe the science. Like, yeah, okay, you can believe in the conspiracy, fine, but when we show you the science that contradicts that and something that you can do to test yourself, that should at least count for something and not just be dismissed because you don't want to believe it.
See, my biggest argument with NASA and some of these other agencies, if you're getting raw, and of course they want to have the imagery first because they want to analyze it, and they it's first come first serve kind of thing when it's their agency. But wouldn't it be nice if a third party private industry put something up on the moon where we all can share the moment together in real time and get the imagery as quick as they get it, we see it.
I'm telling you right now, it's going to be SpaceX or Blue Origin. The way Elon Musk likes to debunk the system,
yes,
and doesn't really give a crap either way. I'm pretty sure he would probably be the first one to stick, a GoPro on the moon or something.
That's what I'm saying. Or even put a few CubeSats.
Yeah,
and them go around the moon, and so
but Elon Musk, he doesn't do things small. So he'll put like a television camera up there, with 8K. I mean, you can see it happening. Oh my Lord, look at the difference in color there.
That's awesome.
The dark gray and the light gray.
That it looked nice though, but wow. Yeah, you got.
But I can see him doing that, and the fact that he's looking at building, moon bases, and he's taking it further than anybody else. Of course, you had Bigelow in it for the longest time from Bigelow Aerospace.
Yeah, but it's not just simply moon bases. You know what they're going for, just like the Chinese.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, absolutely, but you have to establish the base there first.
Absolutely, there's so much resources there. Though, look what we did here on Earth and exploited all the resources, and now it'll just be the moon. They're probably looking to do the same there. I mean,
by the way, I should just tell you that Paul says hi, and tell him hi for Mom for him too.
Cool. And tell him that he better be here next year for Pine Bush.
I believe it's part of the plan.
I don't want to hear no excuses. Take off. Tell your boss now. Tell your boss now.
Tell him now.
Exactly. Because that was kind of,
well, I think next year's fall trip is going to be down to the Four Corners region. I think we're going to head for New Mexico, Arizona, all that area.
Well, that's the case. I know a lot of people that have always offered me to stay in their homes, and we can have a place.
We're invading Race's house. Like,
Race. He wouldn't mind.
Let us in, man.
Actually, we had a big meeting for KGRA earlier.
Yeah.
I can't go too much into detail, but one of the big issues was Jimmy Church's show keeps dropping, so we're trying to resolve that. That's just one thing, but
keeps dropping.
Yeah, because it's a long story, but his stream keeps dropping, and when the stream drops and we have a queue set up, what's going to happen is the playlist is going to go automatically to the next file in the queue, and Jimmy's stream is bye.
Oh, okay.
Unless you stay up and put like 8 Jimmy Church stream keys in the queue, and then manually take them out before the next show starts at 1 a.m. for me, or for Race, it would be 11 p.m. So it's a big time issue to deal with that. So we're working around. They've kind of got an idea how to figure this out, so it won't happen anymore.
Awesome.
But the thing that was really what was going on is the live stream for the members site on KGRA for either live streams or videos that KGRA is producing that would be available on, say, Amazon Prime, for example. They'll have the access to it to view them. So there's a lot of things that they want to get off the ground. I mean, they're really pushing now to try to get this all sorted within the next few months at minimum.
Awesome.
So it would be interesting to have, because you guys have always been a part of this in some capacity.
Right.
Obviously,
we've always been off to the left on the fringe.
Well, there's going to be a free members area, which would obviously use P&K, so people could see your streams there, or Mark's stream. I don't know if I would do my streams because it's hard enough for me to do the station and do the streams at the same time, so it's just too much on my end.
Yeah.
But it would give a lot of people an opportunity to see this that maybe they aren't aware of just simply on the YouTube or Astro Imaging Live, but also through KGRA. Now people, because it's going to, obviously it's going to be directly tied back to your YouTube channel.
Sweet.
So it's going to be, there's some really cool things coming for the station. But as far as this concerned,
you know what I say, more eyes the better. I can't even count how many times we've all been sitting in here and chatting, having a good time. And the next day, of course, it gets posted right after the stream. And somebody puts a little comment in there, and I'm going down the comments looking, and they say, what was this object at blah, blah, blah time? And I go to that time in the video, I'm like, holy crap, we totally missed that. And somebody else caught it. Like, that is awesome to me. With that being said, I want to find out where everybody's watching from tonight, because once you post where you're watching from, I'm going to go ahead and run down the chat shout-outs for everybody that's chatting along with us on YouTube. So, yeah, if you guys want to type where you're watching from, we had a pretty good span last moon cycle. We were literally all over the world. Tonight's a pretty big crowd, so we'll find out where everybody's from. And as for chat participants, let's see here.
Well, somebody mentioned something in chat, Rick Heller, about the Space War Alliance. Now, obviously, they're using it for our adversaries or who we deem as our enemy. Yes. That is the broad stroke that it can be applied for. Right. And yes, we do face some really serious threats from our adversaries and the development of their weapon systems that they're working on and already have. And just imagine what we are not privy to know in the public domain.
Right.
Now, if you want to take this to the next level, that maybe... And again, this is almost conspiratorial that there's some type of a threat coming from outward. You can go that way. But right now, it's obviously for, as far as making it implemented to create this branch, it would be due to the threat that we face from our adversaries.
Right. Holy moly. Wow. Romania. Wow. Let's go down this list. Romania, Austin, Texas, of course, with Jello. Florida, Arizona, east coast of Georgia, Little Rock, Arkansas, northeast Ohio, Alabama, Bangkok, of course, with David Schmidt, one of the great teachers over there. Say hello to your class as well, David. Israel, Northern Ireland, Northern England, Vancouver, Texas, London, Western Australia, just kind of all over, all representing.
And see, that's what makes us a global community. Right. And this is what I love about this, and on my stream too. But
actually, let me point out to something. Observer at 0.0 asked about the scope. The scope is actually right on stream. It's a 9.25 right now that you're looking through. For the wide field, you'll be looking through an 80 millimeter. Continue, Bill.
This is exactly the example of a platform where you bring people from all over the world together, where we share a common interest, and even areas where we agree to disagree with respect. It's done here. And it's an educational experience.
And you guys are helping. You guys are actually doing the research just by watching.
And you can also spread the word due to your interest in astronomy. Maybe you will start a stream where you're located. And believe it or not, with Astro Imaging Live, the site that Paul and Keith have, Mark and I, we're looking for people to add to it. It's not exclusive just for us. We've always said that from the get-go. Right. If you got a stream and it's similar to this, and you can add an input of what's going on in your area of the world, contact us.
We'd love to have a global network. We'd love to have Australia participate and have a scope when the moon's cruising through Australia or above Australia. And then, of course, the UK and, even Russia, China, we ain't there yet because they don't even get our internet, I don't think, right now.
If it inspires others to do it,
yes,
that's a great achievement.
Yep.
To get people interested in this, because this is the science application of doing stuff like this.
The main goal is to keep your eyes open and looking up and not to be looking down.
And also, to a certain extent, have an open mind.
Yeah.
But also seek the opinion of others when you have something in question, where you can now say, well, hey, Keith, hey, Mark, what up, Bill? Look at this. What do you think about this? It creates that setting where we have a network.
Right.
And that's, to me, very important. And like I said, to have people at varying points on the planet all over the globe to be doing something like this, the more the merrier to me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And did you ever talk to David? Because I don't know if you have. I've talked to Mark, and I know you have, about possibly getting David on with you through via Skype and doing this for his class in Bangkok.
Yeah, we've talked about it so much, and it's just a matter like of lining up. Because the one time we were ready to do it, and then we looked at the forecast, and it was going to be total crap. Like we want to do it on a night that's clear, so it almost has to be like short notice. But it is in the plans. I mean, Paul is all about it. I'm all about it. Mark's all about it, and I'm pretty sure David's still all about it. We will get it done. We will do this eventually.
And P&K will very soon have 4K camera image.
4K is coming, and the new Moon cam, I believe, as well. Because the 4K cam is going to be more or less for the wide shots.
Right.
You know, that way, when we do that, we can zoom it like crazy and not lose any of the resolution. You know, we're looking for the 4K cam, we're looking for as high as 32 megapixel. We're going super. What is that one you have? How many megapixels is the one you have?
Oh, I would have to look at the specs.
Oh, you don't remember offhand?
No way.
I know your camera is amazing when it comes to Sky Cam.
Different settings, you know?
Yeah. And that's like, what, a $2,500 camera?
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Well, it was when it was new.
It was when it first came out. I mean,
right.
They're below 2,000 now.
But man, that's an amazing camera for night.
It's not just the camera. It's the lenses that way is what really gets you too. I mean, you could spend upward to $1,000 for a lens.
Easily.
That's what I spent over $1,000 on lenses alone.
Yeah, it's
not just camera.
And we should mention that, guys. Yeah, what we do, it is not cheap.
No.
I mean, Paul easily at this point has $40,000 invested. You know, me, I'm a little bit less here because obviously I'm doing everything on the technical side. But Bill, between his cameras and stuff, Mark with his telescopes and dome, it is not a cheap hobby by any means.
He knows, Keith knows, and Paul and everybody else. I have a 2,000 plus telescope in my garage right now that I'm not even using. And don't even talk about the eyepieces, what they go for, and the collimator and everything else. I mean, this stuff runs up. But the thing is, I never even think about it that way. It's just to try, like they're doing right here, to provide a superior quality image of whatever we are doing as a collective.
It's a give and take. We provide the equipment. We provide the medium for you guys to do it via YouTube, and you guys provide your eyes. That's, and then we all look for the stuff together.
And the thing is, and Paul and Keith, because they use the telescopes exclusively, they can tell you, they can give you advice if you want to get into this and buy a high quality, inexpensive scope.
Right.
Now, the manuals are tougher to use.
The only thing we won't tell you, we will tell you scopes. We will tell you, streaming options. We'll tell you the only thing we won't tell you is the camera, is the actual telescope camera, because you got to keep some things close to the vest.
I agree.
And once we improve that, then maybe we'll give you the specs. And because the cameras are custom built by one person,
right? They're
a custom built camera. You can't buy them anywhere. Right. So if we were to give out what that is, and the guy's like 80 years old. So he would be, he would be inundated with people trying to get him to make them cameras and stuff.
Yeah. Well, the point
we're lucky,
that people could do this themselves.
Yes. You don't need our equipment. I mean, if you're going to do moon watching, a 5-inch scope is fine.
Exactly.
You don't have to be zooming like we do. We just got lucky that Paul has invested so much into this, where his drive to see the surface of the moon as close as he can get and as clear as he gets, and becoming the perfectionist that he's become.
Oh, I've seen it in action.
It's just a benefit to all of us who are watching it.
He's very meticulous. Very
meticulous. Like on nights like this, like I could text him right now and say, "Man, this sky is awesome night." He'd be like, air's kind of sucky. It looks kind of watery, soupy. I don't like it." And I'm like, this is awesome, but that's just the way he is. And, you gotta admire the guy for that.
Yeah. He's just trying to look for the best conditions to do a stream and provide, somewhat, whatever he deems to be as superior quality. And that's a great thing.
And that's why he was striving to actually get the fiber optic internet and everything, because he wants you guys to see the moon as he sees it. See, what we're seeing here on YouTube with this compressed down stuff, I mean, it's nowhere near. You're only seeing about 40% of what he is. on his large screen that he has, watching the scope feed as he does it. But within the next couple of days, you're going to see it once we get everything tweaked out with AT&T and everything. But
now I got a silly question. I never even really asked you guys this. Does the light pollution affect the imagery on the telescope?
Yes.
Being that in Miami, it does,
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So can you imagine? Well, I not even imagine. You were in Wyoming. Was there a vast improvement being in a darker sky?
We can't really say, and here's why. Because of the fact that we are so keen to our setup, how we have it, that we're optimized now, for what we do.
Right.
You go out there, you're doing everything on the road. The internet might not be the greatest. You might not have all the equipment that you would have, be able to run inside for at home. Is it clearer? There's not enough for comparison. We'd have to be out there for like a month or so and get the best nights.
Let me actually
do a comparison.
Is anything on the table to say get a telescope that's designed and set up for darker sky areas? This way you don't have to go through all those settings and collaborate.
Not really, because it's unless one of us were planning to live there.
Yeah.
That's how fine tuning it has to be. See, once again, like some places, and you can ask Mark about this, but some things that you visualize, you actually want to be around water. There's actually an observatory in the middle of a lake, because that actually somewhat helps when you're viewing planets. It almost acts like a magnifying glass.
Right. Yeah.
So, and truthfully, I just cannot wait to be up at full resolution and doing Jupiter and Saturn, and of course when Mars comes back around, to being a close approach. We're going to get, especially Jupiter, because we get Jupiter really good now.
I've seen it.
Really good. I mean, I think our record is like 14 bands on Jupiter we've gotten clearly. You can imagine, and that's with the 9-inch scope. Can you imagine what we're going to get with the 12 and the proper resolution, possibly in 4K?
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing. We're going to be rival, because we're pushing the cameras and the telescopes to their Dawes limit, to the diffraction limit. We're getting right to that edge, which is what another astronomer has been doing for a while. The guy's name is John Walson. But he does a lot of handheld stuff, and it's like kind of shaky, and he's not really able to track all that well, but he does get really close, and his is more or less just magnifying like crazy. He's putting like 15 lenses together, and working them out with the proper focal length and all that stuff. Where this is just a camera into the scope. It's pre-built. There's no lenses. There's no Barlows. There's no, it's camera to the scope. That's it. Everything else is done actually inside the camera itself. From the zooming, which is why we can't pull out very good. Like if he tries to back it out.
There was an article, I don't know if it was Space.com or one of those scientific based sites, that they're thinking about putting an infrared laser on the other side of the moon due to the atmospherics on Earth that would be seen by an alien civilization, if they exist, 20,000 light years away. They would be able to see the laser.
Lovely.
Ain't that something? And you know why they can't? They got to put it on the moon because it would actually interfere with communication satellites, and if someone, God forbid, was to look directly into it,
Well, here's the thing. I'm kind of half and half on this. If
I am too.
Aliens, quote unquote, are already here, let's make contact. Let's do it. No. I'm not so sure about putting out a beacon and inviting. You know what I mean? Like if they already found us, fine, cool. They haven't destroyed us yet. Let's take that as a plus.
The thing I see it is a different way. If you're going to spend that kind of money and resources to build something like that, I think we can use the resources for something better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very true.
Can you imagine what the price tag of something like that would cost?
Yeah.
To build it? To maintain it?
Yeah. Instead of doing that, how about we put 2 relay satellites wide, doing a wide orbit next to the moon, say 5,000 miles to the right and 5,000 miles to the left, and then actually put a camera on the backside of the moon and use those 2 satellites as relay satellites to relay the signal back to Earth. And we can have a 24-hour stream of the backside of the moon.
That would be really nice.
Cost about the same as putting a giant laser up there.
Perfect world. You have to think though. They're probably doing things like that we just have no idea what they're doing up there.
Yeah.
Like I always wonder, what is the X-37B doing? It's definitely under the wing of the military.
That's that little thing that looks like a little space shuttle.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird. And it's able to go up there for like months at a time, isn't it?
Exactly. Months.
Nuclear powered? Was
years. At a time.
Yeah. You think it's just a reconnaissance thing?
I don't know. I would think so. But that's always been a mystery. What is the X-37B actually doing? What is its mission? But that's just one example.
Yeah.
That we don't know what exactly is going on above us in space.
Yeah, that's the military for you. Once again, inviting conspiratorial stuff. Just inviting it. Like you want to make it, known that you have this thing. You want to have video of it and take pictures of it landing and, all that other stuff, but yet you don't want to tell people what it's doing. Breeds conspiracy.
Exactly.
But,
that's just that's the environment. That's what we live in right now, the conditions, and hopefully things will become more open. And I think they will in time.
What do you think? Do you think we should try to establish a moon base before going to Mars, or you think we ought to stay on the track of going to Mars first?
Well, you know what? I think we should go to the nearest object and make sure that all the systems are working operationally,
right,
before we take that jump.
Me and Mark had this conversation. I said, wouldn't the moon be an awesome proving ground?
It has to be. It has to be.
Not only that, but you could ship you could mine helium-3 there and actually launch it off the surface of the moon, being it's only 1/6 the gravity.
The rare earth elements.
You can launch a lot of payload into space from the moon.
Absolutely. And also, what better way to test a colony?
Yeah. Or test out, the lava tubes and how well they hold up.
Let's start a colony first here before we send them all the way to Mars and find out that something was designed with a flaw.
Yeah.
And there's no way to, take care of them and rescue them, or it's going to take a year plus to do whatever we need to do.
I agree.
Do it in our backyard. Do the experimentation right here in our backyard first.
Because the worst comes to worst, we can get somebody to the moon if we have to.
That's what I'm saying. It's right in our backyard. So at least it's in short proximity in comparison to the moon, where now you can go and do whatever you need to do, emergency mission, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
The moon should definitely be the model as an example on how to establish a colony first before you start jetting off to Mars.
Well, the ideal situation would have been to have a moon base already before they launched the James Webb. Because, once again, they only get one shot at it.
Oh.
And it's got to go out there to L2 and park, out by Jupiter. There's no way to get out there to fix it if something goes wrong.
Yes.
Now, here's a perfect example of a moving picture. Look at right under 1080. Okay? The full HD 1080, the big yellow thing in the center. Look at that little hill below it. You can see a little white moving pixel there. That is what I've seen a lot of people on other channels call, look at this moving, there's stuff moving on the surface.
Oh, man.
Let me explain to you what this actually is. This is your camera's optic sensor trying to make sense of the light and shadow that it sees when it's zoomed in. This is what happens when you push the diffraction limit.
Yep.
All right, you get a couple of these jumping pixels moving around.
And you also have the atmospherics of the Earth.
Exactly.
That waviness.
And different reflections, diffraction of light. So, just so you know. But there are interesting spots, and once again, you can't base it on something that's sitting still because you have to compare it to what it looks like in different light. And you can do that the next day. We've had stuff where we started a stream at 8 at night, and the place looked completely different at 1 in the morning. Just going up, 1.5 points on the illumination scale. It looks completely different.
Yep.
This whole area south of this crater looks awesome.
He's getting great images.
It's really good. Actually, I'm gonna find out if
amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. We should definitely be concentrating on the moon before we even think about.
And like you said, you're actually accomplishing more than one goal. At the same time, you're mining the resources.
Right.
You know, that's a great way to start as a colony. You're there for science, of course, number one. And of course, you know, they're going to always want to see how it pays for itself. Well, the best way for it to pay for itself, they're always worried about the amount of money that it costs for space exploration. That's one of the main reasons the ISS was constructed, is because it was international, and you had funding from different countries. But the same thing applies here. If you're going to spend money to go to the moon, and it has its certain applications that you're trying to reach those goals, well, how best to implement that by paying for itself with the mining resources now that you can have shuttling back to Earth?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? So
can you imagine in 30 years it's probably going to be possible, as long as people keep the interest up in leaving this planet.
We have to eventually.
Yeah, eventually, but
Not for.
I'm just saying, if more and more people get into it, see, space, because of the way the economy is going away, because humans can't seem to get along. Space is taking a big backseat, and luckily, NASA has been able to continue to look at everything we learned since the Apollo program. The International Space Station has been a big learning tuna can for how stuff works in space, and doing experiments and whatnot. But I don't know. It's just
the thing is, this is my worry, and I've mentioned this on radio and on my channel. What we do here on Earth cannot be, the baggage that we do here on Earth cannot be taken into space.
I agree.
We gotta drop the nonsense. We have to find a way to coexist, live together, respect each other's belief systems, whatever it takes. Because I really, really, really am concerned that if we had the technology today to take us to an exoplanet, you're going to have a race by all the major powers, the nations of this planet, to now go there and declare, this land is my land, this is mine. They're going to map it off, and we're going to start the same nonsense that we do here on another planet.
Wait, isn't it Sagan that said, if you're going to another planet strictly to plant a flag, you already failed?
Exactly. So things must change.
Well, think about it. Think about it, though. Like, okay, you see guys in different militaries always fighting, right? How many scientists do you see from different countries punching each other in the face? Hardly any.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure there's one or two jerks around, but for the most part, they want to work together. For the most part, United States scientists are calling Russian scientists, and Russian scientists are calling Japanese scientists. They're all working together to get the data that they need. Science is a big bringer together per se.
See, the thing.
It's a common goal.
We see a lot of bluster in the public forum by countries when they want their points put across. But behind the scenes, they're working together.
Wow, look at that. Oh. Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Despite everything that goes on, we send our astronauts to Russia, which is, to me, an abomination that we have to pay Russia to send our astronauts up into space to get to the space station.
But here's the thing. I mean, the space shuttle was costing a little more than it was worth.
Oh, of course. But the thing is, we were one of the pioneers and leaders besides Russia in space. And we're declining. We need to stay cutting edge. Before the shuttle was retired, they should have had an alternative plan.
I agree. Yep.
Ready to go to replace it.
I agree.
It's mind-boggling.
Well, not only that, but the United States, science education in the United States is abysmal.
It is.
It's abysmal in the public school system, I should say. Why do you think we're getting all of our scientists from different countries?
Yes,
why do you think we have a visa program that gives incentive to people coming over on science degrees and scientists to come over here and live? Because United States, say what you will about it, still wants the best and the brightest.
And
they weren't getting it homegrown.
I hate to say this, but remember what happened after World War II?
Yeah.
The German scientists that came here and developed our rocket program, because it was them.
Yep.
They're the ones who helped make us get to that frontier. So that was a big part of it.
Yep.
And so you definitely need that influx of people coming from other countries to come here. And you have to make it where there's an incentive to come here.
Right.
You know, I don't, like I said, I don't want to get into that field, that part of the conversation, but
right.
You know, you have to give some kind of an appeal to
I should address something here. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about Bruce in the chat. Bruce sees all Bruce Schwartz. I want to make this point known. I like what Bruce is doing. I do. I don't necessarily agree with his findings of what he says. Like, I don't agree with his statement saying this is definitely this or this is definitely that. And that's fine. We don't have to agree. But I like what he's doing. I like the fact that he's actually looking. And the biggest thing that I can find with Bruce's stuff, which isn't even a personal thing from me, is that, say, if he does find something, the only person that has seen that footage from the time it was in his scope to the time it reached the internet was Bruce. And that's going to throw up a big red flag to anybody investigating if he does find something awesome. You know? So my advice to Bruce would be to do it live. You know, that's why we do these live. If we find something, yes, I can make an isolated video of what it was, but people can always come back to these 3-4 hour streams and go exactly to the point, knowing that we were watching the whole time. You know? But I like what Bruce is doing. I like his enthusiasm. You know, once again, I don't really agree with his findings, but, you know, at least he's doing the work.
And the thing is, there's a channel out there for everyone.
Exactly.
And that's why you can simply go here, you can go there, you can go elsewhere. You know, that's up to the individual. Yeah. And
once again, Bruce is driven. He's definitely convinced that there's aliens on the moon and stuff, and that's awesome. I'm not going to knock the guy for that. Plenty of people believe that. And he's a driven guy. You know, you can tell he's really excited about it. You know, he really wants to find that proof. And once again, he's doing the work. You know, and you can't knock the guy for that.
Exactly. He's got a passion.
Exactly.
And you can't take his passion away from him.
Exactly. Yep.
And if everybody was so passionate, can you imagine what would be out there right now?
So once again, guys, it's not a competition.
Right.
You know, it's not a competition between P&K and Bruce and Take Back Space. You know, it's everybody working towards the same ending. Exactly. That we're trying to find out. We just have different methods of doing it. And do we always have to agree? No. We're not always going to agree. The one person I do have a problem with all this is John Leonard Walton. But that's a whole separate issue.
I know. I remember.
But once again, he's doing the work too. So he's, recording the moon. Fine. Awesome. Hopefully he finds something. But yeah, it's not a competition. Everybody's working together. And if it comes down to the point, I wish Bruce would put like the times and dates that he's watching. That way, if he does find something, we can jump on here to our stuff and try to confirm it for him. Or say, no, it didn't cross there, so it had to be local to you. But, maybe that's something that'll happen in the future. Who knows?
And as long as everything is kept on a respectful level.
Exactly.
Where the conversation is not to bash or to show any kind of, that's my thing. I don't like talking, negative about, that's their thing. That's what they're doing. Let them do it. Now, obviously, I am not a big fan of a lot of these sites that exaggerate, because you know me, I'm the UFO guy. But I don't like when I see these channels that just explicitly put out BS out there.
Did you hear the one night that was 2 weeks ago where Third Phase of Moon was on here? And Mark basically told him, it's like, you guys are banned from any kind of MUFON or anything. You guys are considered shysters. Like, he went in on them right there to their face.
Oh.
Know, and to their, they were fine with that. They understood. And the fact that they still were willing to work with us on future UFO stuff that they catch, they want Mark to look at it, so they were totally open to that. And they realized the criticism that they were receiving. You know what I mean? And they realize it's not a good look for somebody that wants to have a UFO channel that wants to be taken seriously.
I agree with
You know
that.
what I mean? So they did. I mean, Mark offered them an olive branch, saying, "Listen, I'd be happy to look at stuff before you post it, so we can say." And he said, "I'm going to tell you the truth. If it's something I can't explain, I'm just going to let you know I can't explain it. I don't know what it is. So have at it." Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But the sensationalism is what's ruining ufology right now.
Well, one of the hosts of KGRA was going to have them from Hawaii because they're doing stuff in Hawaii. I don't know if they're still there. But I was like, should I go on the air? Confrontive with them? Confrontational? And she didn't get them on yet. But I think I would hold myself and not speak because I know I'll go off on a tangent.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to go there.
That's my biggest fear. Like, I don't want to be taken the wrong way.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's hard when you're not seeing somebody face to face.
As a host, there's boundaries. The purpose of having a guest is to let them express their research, their opinions, and yes, you ask questions, and it depends on where you want to go. If you want to be a little bit challenging, so to speak, as to call out certain things,
right?
So be it. But to me, I try to stay neutral when I bring somebody on and ask the questions that I think are relevant, that I think a lot of the people in the audience would want to be asked. I hope that you know me.
That's New York, buddy.
That's New York. So, you know, you don't want to go on. You don't want to bring somebody on to hammer them and throw them under the bus.
Right.
So, you know.
But usually you can tell them beforehand, but like, listen, we're going to address some criticisms that you've been receiving. You know.
Right.
And usually if people back away then, that means that, you know, there's kind of like an indication of guilt there, you know, if they don't want to answer the criticism. But I don't know.
Look, this is another major point. You just mentioned it about it. If you put stuff out there that's questionable, it's about a credibility factor too. Because we have channels that we can contact and say, look, I think I got something really serious here. And it's not just Mark. We have many avenues that we can go. And if we start putting out stuff that's laughable and then now start throwing stuff at them all the time, they're not going to take any time to even look at it.
Right.
So you want to stay, because believe me, and you know me, how many contacts, I have a Rolodex full. Being
more than a Rolodex.
Yeah. So
darn phone book. The
thing is, you want to stay credible. You want to be able to say, well, look, here's something I caught. You're not going to say it's an alien or this is something unusual that I captured during my stream. I want you to check it out. And the people that we know in the field would say, okay, Keith, Paul, Mark, me, sure, I'll take a look at it. But if you start going off the deep end and start putting stuff out there and then what they'll do is they're going to research your channel. They're going to see what you're doing. They want to know. They're not going to do anything for somebody that's out there, right, so to speak. And believe me, working in this field that I do as a producer and with the people, there's so much infighting nonsense with the egos in ufology alone.
Well, we still get the weird eye from science people that, you know, find out that we believe in aliens and UFOs. You know what I mean? Even though we're a science channel and science backed and we're doing everything by the book, we still get that eye. You know what I mean?
They were truly looking at it from a scientific perspective. And they know the billions and billions of stars with billions and billions of planets. I almost sound like Carl Sagan. Within a galaxy. And then on top of that, with every galaxy, there's the same amount. And then we have billions and billions of galaxies out there. For those who want to look at it from a scientific, to say that the possibility of extraterrestrial life out there that is zero or nil is, to me, incredibly to think.
Right.
Now, but at the same time, do they have that technology where there are type 1, type 2, type 3 to get here, to even find us? Because if you were looking in reverse and we're such a small speck in the sky, for them to stumble upon us would be incredible. To just be traveling in space and just happen to stumble on this one planet around this one star and find us, that means they must have technology to detect any signs of life, like we're trying to find out there with the stuff that we have. So
I'm just so sick of UFO and the whole thing around it being such, a laughable matter. Like every time you see it on the news, somebody, well, what was this UFO? Was it little green aliens coming up at 11? Ha 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 ha. And it's like, it's not. They have to realize that these UFO sightings and even abduction cases are not all some hillbillies living in a cabin, by themselves. These are real people.
Yes.
And these people aren't like they're being laughed at by mainstream news and stuff. Yes. When they had something very traumatic happen to them. They want to be told that it's, sleep paralysis. And some of it very well could be. But when you have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of sightings, in the last 200 years that are marked down.
Could go even further than that. Thousands of years.
Right.
Because
like it's
in cave drawings.
But I'm just saying on record,
yeah,
and it's more and more and more and more and more, and you have credible people from military, what we deemed as a society as the highest credibility people, military people, police officers, coming out and saying they're seeing this stuff. Why is it still not being taken completely seriously?
Because a lot of people will tell you that most of what everybody's experienced. I'm not talking about abductees. I'm talking about people that claim to see things. You can, especially in today's present climate, where you have drones, you have top secret military craft zooming by. Even when I had my sighting.
You know what? You're the perfect person to ask. Let me ask you this, because you are in the ufology field. Who is the number one person right now investigating UFO sightings or abductions that are happening now?
Ooh.
This year? Because I went on a rant about a week or so ago saying that there's hardly anybody in the field right now that does investigations now. Everybody or anybody you ever heard of, from Dolan to what's her name on your KGRA, they're all dealing with stuff that happened in the 60s, 40s, 50s, 70s, even up into the 80s. But listen, I don't see anybody saying, well, Debbie from Minnesota got abducted last week and we're going to go check it out and investigate it.
Well, that's that's on the level of MUFON, where they have the field investigators going out. But I'm going to tell you this right now, because I am privy to a lot of inside stuff that is not made public.
Right.
There, next year, you're going to see a big time series. I have to be careful what I say. Let's just say you're going to start seeing a lot new stuff coming out in the new year. This is what I'm scared of. A lot of these groups that are supposedly like at the top echelon of doing any type of research, I have a flag of disinfo that they're possibly, and that's my own paranoid reverse conspiracy kind of thing going on, where I don't trust certain groups, and I'm not going to name them here because you will hear them next year. There's a lot of stuff coming out. I don't trust that they're being truthful and maybe serving the work for the government to throw out disinfo to throw everybody off. That's the best way I could say it. Because you're going to see, and I like I said,
TTS.
I ain't saying nothing. But let's just say I speak with Linda Moulton Howe. I produce her show. I speak with John Burroughs because he's a co-host for that show. I speak to Dolan, which Dolan now is focusing on his member site. I speak to everybody.
Yeah.
And I can tell you there is a lot of stuff going on. And a lot of people, shadowy figures, people behind the scenes. And this is a big one. That's the Collins. There's going to be a lot of emphasis of UFO connection to demons. That's been started already.
Yeah, that's been a big thing.
Yeah, it's becoming bigger and bigger by the day. And my worry is they're going to use this for so many different applications as far as weapons research and let's just say a false flag possibility or
Let's just agree it's sad.
it is sad. It is definitely sad because instead of doing the pure research, they're taking it where they're using it as a tool, as a mechanism to use it to create fear. And
well, who was it? The whistleblower back in the, what was it? It was Warner von Braun, wasn't it? That said, first it was going to be, Japanese and whatnot, and then it was going to be the Middle East, and he said the final card is the alien invasion. Well, that's going to be used as false flag.
That's what I'm saying.
You
never know. All I'm saying is instead of doing real credible research, I'm afraid that we're going to be given bunk to run with so that everybody else can run with it. And they're serving another purpose, another organization, or some type of... Look what happened a few weeks ago. When the Air Force is spending $1,200+ on a freaking teacup coffee mug, where is that money going to?
Yeah.
The oversight committees that are looking at some of this stuff. Now we're starting to find out. It's starting to come out where these trillions of dollars went. And I'm telling you, there's so many programs that are being developed on the low that we're not aware of. And who knows what? We have such little understanding presently. And because I think that the humanity has an ego problem.
Yeah.
And that's why I say this. We look at things in the understanding that we know of today. We consider ourselves to be intelligent species, civilized, so whatever. But then if you were to take time and go 200 years where we are now, they're going to laugh and say, this is what they were thinking back then?
Yeah.
But the same thing applies. We're starting to get an understanding of time and space, interdimensional. We're just starting to grasp our surroundings with more understanding.
Yeah.
Can you imagine where we're going to be, as long as we don't destroy each other, 100, 200 years from now? It's going to be mind-blowing. Especially, and a lot of people are fearful of the AI.
So.
Can you imagine the AI? And there's reason to be worried about AI, especially if it becomes self-aware.
Right.
We don't even want to talk about it. That's a whole conversation for another time. But can you imagine? We have supercomputers right now on Earth, but can you imagine an AI with the capability of growing in the learning capacity and taking all that knowledge to look into some of the theories that we have and try to come up with an answer? I mean, this is mind-blowing stuff where we could be headed.
Yeah.
But and that's just a small fraction. It takes, when you try to think about life out there and all the planets that possibly, all the exoplanets, it's hard for the human mind to comprehend exactly what we're trying to understand. The scope of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So hopefully, but like a lot of people, I saw a couple of comments in the chat. We need to get the order of business together here on Earth. We have to somehow, some way, find a way that we're all working towards similar goals. And this is not to make planet Earth one socialist or communist planet, but we need to find a way to work together to the shared interest of humanity and
we spend way too much time studying stuff that divides us instead of doing stuff that bring us together. And space, I believe, is one of those things that will.
If we were to somehow become a peaceful civilization completely, and it's not going to happen probably in no way in the near future, but eventually as we evolve and we find that war is obsolete, and all those resources and money can be going to other more positive, nice ma, goals. Can you imagine how fast and how far humanity can go when we're focused on similar common goals?
Yeah, there'd be no stopping us.
I mean, wow. To think about that. You know how much, think about it globally, how much, if we were to put every country together and their budgets that go toward military, trillions of dollars. I mean, can you imagine that going to other?
Well, just imagine, like, what if right now the key to, traveling at the speed of light is in some kid's head that's growing up in Ethiopia that'll never have a chance to study it, to bring his full brain to fruition because he doesn't have the opportunity.
Yes.
I mean, how many cures for cancer are sitting around, in Siberia?
If they aren't already.
It's one of those things. It's like, until we go towards the betterment of all people, we're kind of going to be still stuck in the rut. Because you never know where it's going to come from.
And I agree with Tim. It is a world that Gene Roddenberry envisioned.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going out, and are we prepared? And this is the way I think of it too. Are we prepared?
Keep talking, Bill. I'm going to refill my drink.
Go ahead. Are we prepared as a species in the event that we do have contact with another highly intelligent civilization? There's going to be such an outbreak of chaos on this planet. A lot of people are not going to be able to handle that. And that's not even counting how the governments of the world will handle it. Forget the people. The people are going to have their own reaction in so many societal ways. Just dealing with it. People are going to suffer from PTSD just having that experience. People are going to have breakdowns. They're not going to know how to deal with it. And other institutional forms, it's just going to be. We're not. It's funny because even like Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth. Maybe we can't. Not yet. As a global community, I don't know if we're ready for it. And maybe that's why they don't want to disclose to us, because they know we're not ready for it. There's so many possibilities to this puzzling question. Maybe they already have evidence. I don't know. But maybe they're keeping it secret for a very good reason. For multiple reasons. Because they know they're going to have to bring in FEMA. The military is going to get involved. Martial law is going to be enforced. Can you imagine what the outcome is going to be in the event of something like this happening? It's going to be chaos. Yeah. People will be looting on the streets just for the sake of. Think of how it would affect people, especially how will it affect religious groups.
Yeah, I think that's one of their biggest things.
Absolutely. And then there's going to be the sense where the governments will not be able to control what's going on because they can't. There's no way to stop them from being here. We're not going to. I mean, that's another fear I have, Keith. If this ever happened,
I think governments are worried when they're not in control. That's what's gonna make things very, very standoffish.
That's exactly it. It's about controlling the masses. That's exactly it. And my worry is, just like I said, as far as our egos are involved. Can you imagine a fighter squadron being sent up to intercept and trying to raise them on communications? Can you, like, they're going to understand, to themselves the potential threat that they're going to face when they even come into our airspace.
Yeah, which is basically the point of the movie. Shoot, now it's skipping my mind. The one with Devil's Tower. What's it called? Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Where they were going towards tones and lights instead of.
Can you imagine that?
Here it comes, the lunar wave. It's a big lunar wave. No, people, a plane just passed. Very close. Just so you know. So when you see this big wave come across here, just know a jet just passed to the upper left. Off camera. Because you will see it.
I mean, I can envision where they're going to try to communicate. They're not going to be able to. Like they're going to understand English or whatever language. I just saw that. That was pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
like a splash. It was, yeah, I see it now. And all that is the contrail, the energy coming from the back of the jet.
Yeah, it's a jet wash.
Expanding. Yeah, jet wash, exactly.
Yep.
I'm concerned that we're going to shoot next questions later, and then all hell's going to break loose.
Yeah, no, right.
They're never going to. Oh, my. I mean, come on. They're going to see it coming in.
Yeah.
They're going to know because of all our satellites and the capabilities that we have.
Right.
They're going to know an incoming's incoming. And can you imagine the scramble and the chaos it's going to cause just within the military branches on how to deal with this situation?
Oh, yeah. Nukes at the ready. You know, it's the first thing that's going to be said.
So there's a lot of things to think about there's a lot of scenarios. Who best represents humanity in first contact?
Yeah. We had talked about this a little bit before. Like, you're right. Like, who do you send? Like, say they land somewhere. Okay, great. And they're willing to meet, per se. Who do you send?
Exactly.
Like, that's not an easy decision.
Scientists have to be there.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, teachers.
Military has to be there, just in case.
You know, all the different factions of the religious groups have to be there.
We need to send somebody that's that promotes and is mostly a person of we and not a person of I.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely. But you know the perimeter is going to be fenced off with the military. Yeah. You know the military is going to want to know if.
But who do you send? I mean, do you send the Dalai Lama? I mean, it's like.
Well, that's why
you don't send the Pope. You know.
Well, again, if it landed in, say, a third world country,
like I don't think you could send any religious leader. Because of the fact that people that aren't in that religion, once again, human beings, the people that aren't in that religion would get all bent out of shape. Why does this religion get to meet the aliens?
That's why I said all religions have to be represented. All.
Yeah, or none.
Or even, yes, exactly. The thing is, in this scenario, let's say something landed in Africa.
Okay.
You know, all the powers are going to run to the area to be a part of it.
Right.
How do you control bringing all these factions together? Does the UN play a role?
It has to.
It has to.
The UN has to be the head organization on it. It has to be. This is one of the reasons why the UN exists.
But, yes. But at the same time, a lot of people view the UN as a non sequitur. They don't do anything.
Yeah, but the UN, I mean, it was put together so...
Oh, I agree.
Countries could speak as one.
Yeah, and to communicate with each other when there's issues that are
So if there's a country out of control, usually the UN goes in front of the UN, and the UN talks to this country and finds out what's going on, you know, and finds out the answers to the problems that the rest of the world has. Right. You know? So if it's a world thing where it's aliens, the UN has to take the point on it. You know what I mean? It's almost like it's their job to represent the world.
It's going to be like in the movie, the time the world stood still, bring them to the UN and have them speak in front of it. I mean, that's just fine science fiction, but it would be, I tell you, it would be something that would change life forever.
Yeah.
And obviously, it would be beyond even comprehension.
I agree with Tom. I don't think it should have any government affiliation, but it almost has to be because if it turns out that these aliens are hostile, right, the government is the one that's going to have to take the initiative to do something about it.
The military will be priority, whether people don't believe it or not, because they're going to have to assess it as a potential threat.
Yeah.
They have to be a part of it.
And maybe by then it'll be the Space Force.
Yeah.
If there's a Space Force, if there literally is a Space Force, it should be once again a UN Space Force. You know what I mean?
Well,
depending on what their missions are.
Right.
You know what I mean? If they're obviously, because when the US talks about Space Force, of course it's for US interest. But literally, if you want a space force in space, it should be made up of all countries, especially if you're trying to protect the planet, especially from like asteroids or alien invasion or whatever.
Well, one thing the Space Force should be focused on is NEOs and any incoming asteroids that could potentially be hazardous, to say the least, to life here on our planet.
Right.
That's what they should really be focusing a lot of their attention and money. Because I was looking at the NEO program; it's only got a few million.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Not a lot. Are you kidding me? This is something that we should definitely be paying more attention to.
And how many times this year have you heard already? An asteroid will make a close pass to Earth this weekend, blah, blah, blah. You've heard it at least 4 times this year because we're spotting more and more and more of them.
A lot of the time, you'll hear it a week before or even after the fact.
Yeah.
It already happened. But the thing is, would they tell the public that there was some gloom and doom thing coming to the planet where it would set off unbelievable chaos on the planet? Would they do it?
If they did, it would, I hate to say it, but it'd probably be last minute. So there wasn't a chance for damage and stuff like that. It'd be like a day before. Because what are you going to do? You're going to go out and loot when you're going to die? No. You know?
So
some people would probably. Human nature.
I think there's got to be a lot of more emphasis and resources for any potential hazardous object.
Yeah, if it's spotted early enough. And there's a possibility of it being stopped. I can see them putting out the word just in case entrepreneurs want to get on and try to come up with ideas to stop it. That say, you know, NASA and them are working on the problem, but you always want your options on a wide field. You know what I mean? Mm. And they've done that before when it comes to computer tech and stuff like that. It's almost like Google paying the hackers to hack their own system.
Right.
You know, right. It's almost the same kind of thing.
Yes.
It's like, okay, an asteroid's coming. NASA has it handled, but we're putting the word out just in case there's any ideas from the fringe. You know
Obviously,
what I mean?
It would have to be something on a large scale asteroid where they feel that it's going to cause catastrophic damage.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to focus in on the smaller ones that can explode, Tunguska, or like someone mentioned, Greenland.
It has to be at least a P or, you know, or a double E. You know, pre-extinction event, which means there's a good chance that a lot of people are going to die. And by a lot of people, I mean like in the billions.
Exactly.
Or an extinction event where they're planning on the entire planet going totally to crap.
Exactly. That's what they would have to target. The ones that pose a catastrophic event here on our planet where life is threatened.
Here's the thing. Like if something, say if a big asteroid's heading toward, do you hope for it to hit the water or do you hope for it to hit land?
Either way, you're pretty much...
Water, you're going to get a big flood, massive tidal wave.
But remember, all that's going to be thrown into the atmosphere too.
Exactly. Or do you hope it hit land and then you deal with dust in the atmosphere? And
yep. The sun gets blocked out and vegetation, life...
That's a question for Mark. I wonder which one would be... obviously, both of them would be horrible. But I wonder which one would be better of the two.
Okay, but now...
Let's say if it was like a 500-meter asteroid. Or like, say, a half mile. Let's do it that way.
Depending on the depth of the ocean as well.
Very true.
Because at the velocity it's traveling, and if it stays, you know, together, even if it hits the water, it's still going to go down below the surface, you know, and hit underneath.
Right.
And we have a lot of trapped ozone underneath the oceans in the ground. So if it hits an ice, that's another thing. If it's an area of an ice sheet where there's a lot of methane. That's what the word I was using.
It's crazy how we do all this to protect humanity as itself. Like, the Earth is fine. The Earth could take an impact from an asteroid. No problem. Brush it off. Yep. But if it happened, like, all of us would be gone.
Gone.
Or us surface dwellers.
That's all it's going to take is just the one. And it has happened in the past.
Yeah. And next thing you know, 5 billion years from now, this is a planet of cockroaches. Giant cockroaches.
That's what they say with the nuclear.
The only thing that survived.
Yep.
You know? And then the little, what do you call them? The little elephant things? Microscopic elephant-looking things?
Yes, I can. I know what you're talking about, though. So, yeah, I mean, eventually we're definitely going to have to go off-world and explore and find the nice cushy exoplanet.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I think to myself. Let's say, for giggle's sake, that if you are one in the creator aspect, what if we, and this is a question that I think this is a philosophical, theological, multi-level question. If we were capable to go to an exoplanet and start life fresh with a number of humans and just let them be and let them create and let them just do themselves, wouldn't that be similar to what we believe may have happened here in a Genesis type of environment? Now, if that were the case, would we be considered in a godlike way in that type of role?
No, but I could see generations from them starting the whole some kind of religion of how it all started.
Coming from above?
Yeah, since they don't have the answers.
See what I'm saying? But you understand that's something I think of all the time. If we were to start and almost be like a not what's that thing where you don't, not the directive where you don't interfere with another civilization, the prime directive.
Right.
Where you put something there and you see how it evolves. That would be that would be an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah.
Because we're capable of doing it ourselves.
Just like Tom said, we would be playing God.
Yes, we would. That's the kind of thing I think about sometimes. Like, wow, we would be capable of something like that. Now, my thing is, I think if we were able to travel at vast speeds and distances, we may need to create an AI to travel where it's not endangering humans.
Yeah, you need an AI, and of course we need to figure out the whole ice sleep, if you know what I mean.
But let's say if you take out the human equation due to our frailties.
Look at that crater apron.
That's awesome. That, I'm telling you, it's unbelievable.
Freaking detail is crazy.
It's incredible.
The big boulder sitting on the side of that crater too.
I can't wait to see when you guys break out the new stuff.
Oh, I know, it's gonna be awesome.
But you know what I mean? I would send, because believe me, they're working on it, an AI that can travel in these craft at vast distances where it's not endangering, of course, as a scout type mission. Send them on their way. As long as the AI is not self-aware.
Yeah, but what would be the point? Because wouldn't be the whole point of doing that is to learn, right?
Well,
how would you get it back to Earth?
Well, the thing is,
because you would need like super communications.
But the thing is, if the technology exceeds, if we meet that criteria first, where we're able, now we have the capability with engines that can travel at these speeds, sort of like what we do right now, sending probes to Mars and.
There was an idea is once light speed was established, because they think within the next millennia that we'll figure out how to go the speed of light, like about a spacecraft like that actually dropping pods along the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, and actually using those as relays for light speed for messaging and data and stuff like that. That'd be kind of cool.
That would. The thing is, can we that
little ship pooping out little pods, every 3 light years.
But it'd be interesting if we can develop that technology where we can put ourselves in stasis,
right?
Where we can travel, like you said, keep the body from aging.
Yeah, cryostasis is a big leap.
Yes,
a big leap. But you know what? The way science is going and the way it's taking off, I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't either.
Money talks.
And I know that, I don't know if you're familiar with the term transhumanism, but it's almost like a biomech engineered entity that we can evolve into, where now the human body, the biological parts, can be replaced. Because the human brain, I think, can survive for almost 200 years if it wasn't for the body itself. But can you imagine, or even uploading a consciousness, your own?
Oh, no, right?
I mean, this is why, and How
That's
many
crazy
times-
to think about that. Think about like a human. Like, can you imagine like in the future, just human bodies being like in a storage locker to upload consciousness to? Almost like a Westworld kind of thing.
Let's see. What? But how have we learned in the past that science fiction becomes science fact?
Yeah, because it's what we strive for. Because it's what we've seen, you know, in science fiction. So we strive for what we've seen.
It's the unrestricted capability of imagination and having conceptual vision.
Mm-hmm.
We don't limit ourselves to our imagination. That's one of the humans' most positive things that we have in our development,
Right.
in our making, is that we have the creativeness, the imagination to think beyond and outside the box, so to speak.
And coming to the future, I mean, it will come down to the saying, if you can imagine it, we could build it.
Exactly.
You know, imagine what happens when you don't have any limits.
Exactly. When you think beyond the box, and say what you say about Bob Lazar, people think he's a phony. Some people think he's credible. But to me, sometimes they think outside the box. They're stuck on stupid sometimes in their research, and they'll think, you know what? Maybe we need to bring in some guy that thinks a little bit outside about what we're doing, and maybe because of his thinking, he'll be able to resolve some of these issues.
Yeah.
Because he's not thinking in the same terms and the way he approaches a theory or a conclusion or a solution like we would. So I don't discount that. You always want to bring in somebody that may have a different approach to it as a solution.
Agreed.
So, there's a lot of things that it just makes for great conversation. Just the thought of it, the possibilities.
It's almost like a 21st century philosophy. You know what I mean? What we do now is kind of sitting back and think about where we're going.
And that's why we brought up that point earlier that some scientists shrug it off. They consider it fringe or taboo.
Right. As a lot of clergymen did back in the 1600s with astronomy.
Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should have yourself an open mind to the possibilities that it's possible. Not that it's happening but that it's possible. Right. Why limit yourself and put yourself in that dead end situation where now you're expanding your periphery and looking at things totally in a more open view?
You know what I found very fascinating that somebody said sometime? It got me thinking about it for a while. It's like, what if everybody that's here on Earth now, let's say reincarnation is real, okay? And what if we got to choose a time to go back to? What if everybody living now, including everyone watching in the chat and everything, what if we all chose to come back to this time because something major happens during this time?
Wow.
We just don't know what it is yet.
That's deep.
You know what I mean? Like, what if we chose, like, oh, that's when we discovered, FTL travel. Or, that's when we first discovered, or when we first colonized Mars, or, what if we chose to come back to this point in time? Wow. Because of what happens in this time frame.
Or what may lie in our future, but is yet to be determined or has happened, and it's bad.
Yeah, it's like you almost like, oh, I want to go back to that time so I can see what happens. Even though you're not going to remember it, but it's almost part of a universal learning.
I think the majority of people
weird.
Would love to get a glimpse of the future.
Oh, of course. I mean, everybody would.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just think about that. Like, what if you said, yeah, I want to be somewhere, late 20th century, early 21st century. I want to see when this happened.
If you had one time in the past to go back to, what would it be?
Like any time in history?
Any time in history. I know mine. I would have loved to have seen what was going on in Egypt during the construction of those pyramids.
I agree. But you got to remember, too, if you got to go back in time there, you have to live that life as well.
Now we're throwing stuff in the game?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't just go back, and just sit there in your jeans and T-shirts sipping a Bud Light, watching them build the pyramids. You know, there's good with bad.
You would have to definitely find a way to integrate with the culture of the time.
Right.
I mean, you're not,
Well,
you're
let's
gonna
say,
have
okay, let's say an almighty being came up to you and said, what time would you like to go back to and see as part of your learning? And you say, I want to go back to the time when the pyramids were being built. And boom, okay, you're born now without any, you know, memory of that conversation happening. You're just a person that was born in that time, and you got to see it. And you won't realize it until you die in that lifetime.
Oh, see, you're throwing
That's
more
deep,
stuff
man.
into the
That's
equation.
deep.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
deep.
that is deep. Oh, yes, you're just stuck.
Yeah.
You can go back, but you're stuck there.
I think the time I would want to go back to,
It's not easy. You can come up with 1 million.
yeah, and it's not really a big deal, but I would probably like to go back to the revolution, like pre-revolution. England owned, like, say 1773-ish, right around there. I would like to see the actual country and how it actually played out.
I hear you.
You know, in real time.
I mean, Keith, we could talk all night about different time periods. Yeah, I would like to also take a glimpse of the future. Imagine you traveled and there's nothing there.
That'd be freaky.
It's gone.
Oh, like that, you know, remember the movie, that Time Machine?
Time Machine. Yeah.
And he was in there, and all of a sudden, like, Ice Age came and went away, and then...
H.G. Wells, yeah.
That's crazy.
See what I'm saying, though? That would be kind of creepy if you're jumping to a time, but you have no idea what lies ahead of you, or even if it exists.
Yeah. As long as, like, you could time travel and not end up, like, in the middle of a wall or something, I'd be cool with it. Like, what if you jump forward, like, all right, I'm going to go ahead 30 years. You go ahead 30 years, and then you stop, and you're, like, in the middle of a wall stuck.
Well, I would stay away from volcanic areas.
Well, how would you know, though? Like, what if you got in the middle of a field, and then, you know, oh, I'm going to go ahead 500 years, and, you know, you stop, and then next thing you know, you're a freaking tree. You know what I mean? That's
true.
Yeah, you want to hear something else that'll blow your mind? Let's think about this, people. Everybody listening, everybody in the chat. What if, now this is another theory, not proven, but what if when you dream, your REM sleep, what if that's the only time you can look into the multiverse? What if that is the reason why your dreams seem familiar but sometimes aren't? What if, you know, like, you ever dream and realize, like, I was in my house, but it wasn't my house? Mm-hmm. Or I was in my car, it wasn't my car, but I knew it was my car. What if when you dream and you go into that REM sleep, your brain is actually able to peek in on yourself in a parallel universe or different universes? Mm-hmm. What's happening at that exact time in different universes?
That's, yeah, multiverse.
How awesome is that thought?
See, this is why I think a lot of the things that people see, and you know me with the paranormal background, it could simply be an overlap of dimensions.
Yeah, me and Mark were talking about that. That might be the answer for ghosts and stuff, that there might just be an overlap of dimensions in certain spots.
Exactly. I think that could be a big part of it. I think that we can be seeing shadows of another existence.
Yeah.
It can be that simple. So, you know, until we get more science and learn more about what's around us and our surrounding, get a better understanding, I think a lot of the lore, the mythology involved will become explainable in the current times that we live today. A lot of the things that we see, who knows? Maybe even in the sky, maybe it's interdimensional. Who knows? All I'm saying.
Well, that would explain a lot of the UFOs that people say just pop out of nowhere and disappear out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Ooh, that'd be weird.
But I'm just saying, that's just to say, we still have to apply a lot of the scientific method to get a better understanding about our environment, about our what's around us, our setting. And I'm sure a lot of these questions will be answered once we do.
Yeah.
It should take time.
What do you think this age will be called when it's all said and done? Because you know how we had the industrial age, you know.
It depends on.
You think this will be called the technological age? The exploration age?
That could be.
Depending on how far we get with it, I guess.
Maybe the space age.
Could be the space age. But they kind of already had that from the 60s to like the 80s.
Yeah, but not like it is what it could be.
True. Very true.
I don't know. That's a really, really good question.
The chemical age.
I was going to say, hopefully it's nothing negative.
Yeah.
Happens. The nuclear age.
Yeah.
I mean, space.
The final age.
Oh, God. Gosh, that would be like the worst thing that can even.
Look at Mars.
The age of Aquarius.
The age of Aquarius. James says the golden age of astronomy.
That's a good one. What news hustle? The age of deception, because you never know.
Yeah, right. Age of deception.
That's a good one.
I grew up during the deception age, and I survived.
Think about what's happened the last 20 years.
Yeah.
We're not off to a great start.
Right?
If you think about it that way, we're already 1/5 way, almost, through this century. So a lot of stuff has to turn around for the next 80 years.
I think it's going to have more or less to do with... it's probably going to have more or less to do... Like, this might be a little mini age, but you know how homosexuality is more accepted, the whole LGBTQ, I think that's going to be part of its own little mini age, the whole Me Too movement and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but on global scale, you still have a lot of
that's true.
barriers and walls that are going to keep us divided for a long time.
Very true.
It's got to be something that's breakthrough. That
Age of Star Trekking. That's a good one.
This is the one that changed everything. You know what I mean? It has to be something that is groundbreaking. And
for all of humanity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm thinking it may have something to do with space in some way. Remember, if we take this, if we colonize the moon, if we colonize Mars, if we do things like this within the next 80 years, which they're talking, about doing this in the next 20.
Yeah. Everything's speeding up.
Absolutely. So how does that change the last 60?
Yeah.
If we, by say 2050, we have a fully functional colony on Mars and the moon, and we're mining from the moon by 2060. And I mean, when I say mining, I'm not talking full blown. This would be definitely the space age.
Yeah.
Because of everything that's to come in the future.
Or the settlement age.
It would definitely be something on those.
The colonial age.
I mean, we're taking that next step to whoa. Oh, that was him moving the camera.
Yeah. he's trying to get Mars a little bit better. It's a tough one.
So I think if anything, I would think space
yeah.
a big part of it. Hopefully. Because you never know. We could always have setbacks, things. We can have a utter disaster, some type of tragedy. We have to take all those things into consideration too.
Right.
Because that would put a big break on the program itself if we were to confront some kind of a catastrophic issue going.
Well, you know what they say, innovation and exploration is dangerous.
That's right.
But you're gonna. I mean, look how many people we lost during Apollo. I mean, Apollo 1, right off the bat, you figured it would have killed it.
I think the risk definitely is. It's all about the end game.
Oops. Yep.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
I hate to say that because you never want to see one loss of life or catastrophic event by say we just have a rocket and it's just being developed and explodes. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have it. But you can't grow from being stagnant and not doing anything. Yeah. We're never going to get anywhere without experimenting.
Let me ask Tim just said, by the way, why did NASA stop going to the moon? And please don't say money. Actually, Tim, if you want to go over to a friend of ours channel, Curious Droid, he actually just put a video out today about why we stopped going to the moon. So you want to jump over there and check it out. If any of the mods have the link, of course, you can link it in the chat. But yeah, very good analysis of why we stopped going to the moon.
I think that we set our goals. We got a little bit too ambitious, and we started to think about because the shuttle program came into role, and we started to think about what can we do now. We went to the moon. What else can we do now?
Right.
And maybe that's a horrible excuse, but maybe they didn't realize the resources and the importance of going to the moon and colonizing the moon and establishing a base there, or other. Like I said, remember, you say it's not about money, but you hear now that they know that there's all these resources on the moon. Now it is about money because they all get there and take advantage of that.
Which is why the private sector is going to take care of the funds getting back to the moon. It ain't going to be, NASA funded or taxpayer funded.
Yep.
It's going to be mostly private enterprise.
We got to remember, for further space exploration, the ISS was important for the scientific experiments that they were doing there, especially when it concerns the human body.
Well, I think the space shuttle was way before its time.
Think
about it. I think the initial thing for the space shuttle was for it to go up and be actually docked in orbit.
And land.
And then ran to the moon from orbit.
Exactly, a re-entry vehicle.
Yeah.
With a payload capacity.
Yeah.
And then they took it to the next scale because, of course, the Russians with the Mir.
Yep.
They wanted to keep up with what the Russians were doing. And they seen that. And they said, you know what, we need to do this too. The focus was changed for whatever reason it was. And now our focus is to go outward into space and colonize and get us landing on Mars.
Yeah.
But we can't ignore what's right in our backyard. It's right there. This is the perfect experimentation platform that we need to do whatever it's going to take for us to go beyond.
Yeah, and we don't have a helium-3 motor yet, so why not go to the moon, get a lot of helium-3, bring it back, and start working on a helium-3 motor?
Exactly.
Then you can launch it. Then you can build a moon base, launch astronauts to the moon to be at the moon to prep, and then it's a much easier 1/6 gravity launch from the moon to start heading towards Mars.
Exactly.
And they can load all kinds of a lot more equipment and food and everything on it because of the gravity of the moon and launch it into space. They can take so much more with them.
No, I totally agree with everything you just said. What a thing we could do if we sent everything and built on the moon, planetary, interplanetary even, vehicles from the moon instead of here on Earth.
Yep.
It makes total sense.
All because of the gravity.
And use those resources that are available on the moon for your fuel source.
Exactly.
So that to me makes common sense. Because again, not only are you doing it in a much better exit platform, a vehicle exiting from the moon, but also at the same time, it's paying for itself because you're getting all these elements and you're sending them back and you're cashing in on it.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Private enterprise, my friend.
That's right.
It's going to take it over.
And they're already eyeballing it. You don't hear about it. The Chinese, we hear things that Chinese were looking at.
Oh, there's one company that isn't too shy to say so.
Well,
let's just say Mr. Bezos, being the richest man in the world currently, and Blue Origin, you're going to be hearing a lot about them in the next 2 years. Because he's about to dump a boatload of money into Blue Origin.
You remember in the Batman movies, you see the bat signal on the moon?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a big money sign
yep.
in that same image.
But I'm telling you, you know how popular Elon Musk and the SpaceX name got in the last 10 years? That's what's going to happen with Blue Origin in the next 2.
Yep.
And then it's going to be 2 egos against one another, and you're going to have a space race again. Except it's not going to be between governments. It's going to be between 2 billionaires doing a PP measuring contest, if you know what I mean, between Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos.
That's going to be big.
And it's going to be awesome just to sit back and watch and see the innovation that comes when they're hiring the best minds in the world, hiring people from NASA. You know, both companies go, you know, and let's see a real space race.
Here's another one that we're not really thinking about, and it's going to make a ton of money. A ton of money. And that's what Virgin Atlantic and Branson are doing. Because if you can come up with a plausible, inexpensive, because it's expensive now, but an inexpensive way to take people up and go around the Earth in space in a low orbit, you know how many people are going to pay to do that?
Way too many.
Way too many. But you understand? That is an avenue, a market that will be exploited when the technology meets that criteria.
Well, why do you think Elon Musk did it to go around the moon? Money. Mm-hmm. He raised, what did he get from that guy? $4 billion for a 4-person thing to go orbit the moon and come back?
But that's what I'm saying. If it becomes where we know it's safe, and it's dependable, people will line up around the planet to take a trip.
If it's half as safe as airplane travel, you're golden.
See, that's why
you lose maybe one a year. You know what I mean?
But here, remember we talked about the age? That's the space age.
I forget what they call it, but there's a thing that happens to people, in their psychology when they actually see the Earth as a whole. Astronauts explained it. I forget what they call it, but a lot of the astronauts that went to the moon, or even astronauts that just went into orbit on the ISS, have this weird kind of awe kind of feeling when they actually see the world as a whole and what it is.
Can you imagine a souped up version of the shuttle, but instead of a payload bay, it has a passenger bay?
Like a school bus.
Yeah.
All aboard the space dust.
They get to stop because they're not going to stop.
Serve drinks.
They're going to make, because this space station is going to become obsolete soon.
Right. Yeah, they'll crash it in the next 15 years or something.
Can you imagine somebody, like you said, one of these billionaires creates a tourism station where they take a trip to, it's almost like the movie Moonraker.
Yeah.
We think of it as laughable, as a joke, but there's so much money to be made.
Well, that's what I first thought when they were talking about the space elevator. And I was like, yeah, okay, But the spin of the Earth will allow it to actually work, and then all of a sudden graphene comes out of nowhere. And it is strong enough. And if there was a way to mass produce graphene, a space elevator is definitely a possibility. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. But it's actually logical.
It has to be private. We know that everything that's going to be developed would be on the private level, because the funding for NASA, we all know the arguments that we have every year, fiscal budgets and all that stuff, good stuff. It's going to have to come from the private industry. They're the ones that are going to be the innovators. Right. And of course, they get subcontracting work from the government, of course. But this space is they see it. They know the dollar signs are in space. They know it in every possible, even asteroids.
Yeah, and there's a reason why they call it the final frontier.
That's right.
Well,
you know something? We have a big final frontier right on our own planet. That's our oceans.
True. Agreed.
How much of it's unexplored?
I think it'll be a lot easier to make something that could handle the pressures of the ocean than it would be for long-term space exploration. But
with oxygen inside, it's a bubble.
Yep.
Ready to burst.
Ready to pop your little eyeballs out.
Yeah. Did you remember when we went to Mark D'Antonio's house and we saw the cup, the styrofoam cup?
Yeah.
And how it shrunk in size due to the pressure? It looked like a thumbnail.
Yep.
I mean, that's what we're dealing with here. The pressure.
That is a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that was amazing. I couldn't figure out what it was.
But once again, with the innovation of and the discovery of graphene, it all of a sudden makes all these things that were never before possible.
Yes.
And anybody doesn't know what graphene is. It's a difference of carbon. Basically, found out through a simple pencil and a piece of tape that it makes a structure, a honeycomb structure, at the atomic level. So that would actually enable, basically a piece of paper to be a computer with its microprocessing and its, that's the kind of capable of something. They're already doing it. The problem that they're having is actually finding a way to mass produce it.
Now, somebody brought up something in there, and I'm just going to say, if Paul and Keith had some groundbreaking, unknown new telescope that can really zoom in to the surface of the moon, I agree. They would probably be their stream would be shut down. Why I say that? Because they don't want anyone to see what they don't. They want to be privy to anything that is new, any kind of imagery, any kind of information. They would want to be the first to get that. I'm just saying that in a totally hypothetical that here is P&K and working with a bunch of engineers. They're not announcing it to the world, but yet they've just started streaming a new Earth-based, which causes all kinds of issues just from saying Earth-based, a new technology that now they can get through all that and they can actually see the surface. Do you know what would all heck would break loose?
We'd have the government knocking on our door wondering how we did it.
Absolutely. And they would shut you down because, we have to see this first.
Yep.
We want to, that's it. So to a degree, I agree with what some people are saying in the chat because they want to be privy to the information first before the public sees it.
Yeah.
And they would be labeled as national security.
Yep.
Like everything else falls under that they don't want us to know about. So I can understand that to a degree. That's why Keith and I mentioned this earlier. Wouldn't it be nice if a person like Musk or Bezos sent up a rover on the moon where we get to see it in real time, just like Bezos and everybody else? Make it for the public to see it in real time where we know. And there'll still be a lot of people questioning that this is not coming in real time.
It would be one of the most viewed things on the internet. I mean, look at the ISS channel now.
Imagine just paying $5 for it. Everybody would pay.
Yep.
Everybody.
Even the flat earthers and the space deniers would pay just to so they could say this is fake. This is the desert in Arizona.
There's a market for everything.
Yep.
A market for everything. But the thing is, they have to get clearances. That's all kinds of crazy red tape to even be allowed to do something like that. So that's what I mean. You got to think outside the box on the possibilities of where things can go, because there's so many. Look at the Japanese when they landed that probe on an asteroid.
Mm-hmm.
I got all kinds of big news. Actually, that's an asteroid. But imagine if you did, like he did the Roadster stunt, sent it up.
Yep. And nobody knew he was doing it before he did it.
Yeah, there you go.
He's like, oh, by the way, I set my car up there. And we put a camera on it, and we're live streaming it.
The same, and think about how fast the communication would be from a rover on the moon.
Yeah. To
here.
Well, you're going to have an 8-second delay for anything on the surface of the moon today, in this day and age. That's not bad.
Nothing. That's nothing.
Not bad at all.
I could see it where he puts a rover on the moon. Of course, they operate it, and I'm sure the Big Brother would want to see the imagery or the delay on its own before it's released to anybody else.
Yeah, but through private enterprise, they can just be like, no.
Yeah, but then they can use the veil of threat and say, if you do this,
we're not going to allow you in space. We're going to shoot your stuff, blah, blah, blah. It's just going to take these companies fighting back, that's all. And making everything, all these veiled threats from the government, public. Say, listen, they threatened us. They told us we couldn't do this.
True. Expose it.
Yeah. Because at some point, we're going to have to say enough is enough.
There's a lot of risk involved with that.
I realize, you guys want, military superiority, and obviously these optics, say if we did develop a telescope or something, then we can be like, these optics, obviously they have military use because you could put something like this in space and look down, and read the back of a candy bar, to text on the back of a candy bar. But that's not what it's for. And eventually people are just going to have to say no. And if the government doesn't like it, then there's going to have to be an upheaval.
You know what? People would just love for that camera to be turned toward the Earth.
Yeah. I can't even count how many people would love to have a live view from the moon showing the Earth.
Exactly.
How awesome would that be?
Oh, so it's endless. The possibilities are endless.
Especially with today's technology.
Yeah,
You know,
even
you're talking about you can easily put a 4K camera up there.
CubeSat.
You know, forget a CubeSat. A CubeSat is early 2010s.
I'm just saying, even a simple CubeSat.
Yeah.
But imagine if you actually sent a rover there with a camera, 4K. Well, actually, you see NASA breaking out. What was it? The A.K.A?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine a rover with a camera taking images, and it's obviously running on solar?
Or
you're not going to say nuclear.
helium-3.
Or helium-3.
Where it can refill itself.
Oh
Put a little refinery on board on the bottom. I'm just saying, we're getting to that thing where it might be possible.
That's a great example. Yes. So, yes, and of course they're going to always look at it from what do I get out of this?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to get something that's never been done, and everybody's going to want to see it, and you're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah. And hopefully they'll take that money and put it back into more exploration.
Yes.
And I believe it because Bezos and Elon Musk are really obsessed with space. I believe those two companies would.
You wonder, something? That's another thing you just brought up. It makes me wonder when people try to destroy these people's backgrounds and their credibility, if that doesn't have something to do with slowing them down.
It could,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to wonder, is there some other motive here besides what everybody sees in the media? But is there something else to try to diminish their role? Because they may be touching on something that they don't want them to go.
Right.
You have to wonder. Hey, everybody thinks conspiracies anyway. We might as well think that one's a conspiracy too.
Yep. Well, you know what? I said this before, but for a long time, NASA was the only game in town.
That's right.
So they were the head of the conspiracy thing. Now SpaceX comes along, and I guarantee you in the next year or two, it's going to be SpaceX is faking this, especially if they go to the moon. SpaceX, they're already saying that he faked his car going up in a rocket, which is easily provable by telescopic images and stuff. But it's going to be, whoever's the game. So it'll be, Blue Origin and the SpaceX now are faking everything. There is no space. There's a firmament or whatever. It's just how it is. But mark my words, Blue Origin is really going to start making noise in the next 2 years.
Can you imagine this one? I don't know. It would have to be aerodynamically built to the moon, but imagine launching a drone off the surface.
Off the surface of the moon?
Yeah.
Well,
now, I don't know the mathematical difficulties and we're dealing with the situation, the conditions on the moon.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't, because you have to have air for a drone.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there's got to be another, little jets. Doesn't have to be with the way we design a drone here on Earth. It would have to be something that can be used, that can fly, loosely termed fly, above the lunar surface and take video from a certain distance. That would be outrageous.
Paul just texted me. He said he almost got the 11 working. He's going to try Mars with the 11.
Cool.
That ought to be interesting. That thing, it needed collimated,
How long are you guys going to stream till?
We're going to go to around 9 o'clock, but if he has the 11 now, we might actually go a little longer.
Okay. Oh, I had a rough day today.
Did you?
Oh, big time. I found, first of all, and I don't mean to get off the subject that we're doing a live stream on P&K, and we're talking about space and other similar, not loosely related on other topics as well, but I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm hearing a cat screaming. I'm like, what is going on? The cat was trapped underneath my deck. So I'm up at 4:40 in the morning trying to figure out a way to get this cat out in the dark with a flashlight, because they're feral. They're not going to
stuck.
One of them got in there somehow, some way. I don't know how, and I had to figure out a way to get him out. So I go to my crawl space on the side of the house. I have it boarded up. What do I open up to? a flood of water
What?
from all the rain that we've had.
Oh, I bet.
I was like, wow, look what I discovered. So I go to get my sump pump, which is like, looks like a generator. So 2-inch, this is what they use for big time floods. This thing will take water out at such a high rate.
Yeah, pump it out like a fire hose.
Exactly. So I go to get my hose, and Mom left the hose outside.
Oh, no.
So
Frozen,
and it cracked on me.
Oh, geez.
When I went to bend it. I went ballistic. I had to go and find a replacement for both the discharge and the one that goes in to get the water out. So it was an absolute nightmare what I went through today. It took me hours to find a solution and find a place that had them so I can pick up. I spent $125 on hoses today.
Jesus.
But now it took the water out in 5 seconds. Not 5 minutes. Gone. Because a little pump, you know, those submersibles would have took forever.
Yeah. Like a submersible sub pump or something.
So I've had one heck of a day, and then a big KGRA meeting, like I told you, and just a lot of crazy stuff going on today. But I'll tell you one thing, coming here, you made my night, took my mind off all the negative stuff that happened today.
Playing pretty good conversation tonight.
Yeah, we touched on a bit.
We usually do. We usually have pretty good conversations.
Yeah, I mean, and just to see the imagery. So what is he? He's switching to the 11. You said?
Yeah, he already did. He's trying to get it collimated right, where we can get Mars in a little bit better. But you know, this is Paul just down there playing around, trying to get.
Weather related. Are you guys expected to get the kind of snow we're going to get tomorrow night?
No, they're calling for 1 to 3 inches here. But that's about it.
6 inches tomorrow.
Really?
Up here in upstate.
Wow.
I'm like, really? Oh, and that's another thing. I had to get that snow blower prepped, and I mean,
yeah.
Thanksgiving, and we're getting snow, accumulating snow. I'm like, really? This early in the year? Are we starting this now?
Oh, jeez.
To be honest, I think
right. It's like the earliest I remember is like October. A couple years back, we got a pretty good snowfall at the end of October. It was like 5 inches out of nowhere, but then melted like the next day.
Yeah, I lost power on that one. I remember that. Actually, we had one on Halloween about 7 years ago, heavy wet snow, and we lost power for days from that one on Halloween.
Yep.
So it does happen. But I think that
but still, you don't want it to. Not this early anyway.
They're talking about that warm water that's going to sit off the Pacific.
Yep.
And it's going to create storms for us here in the Northeast. This could be a tough winter for us.
Yeah.
With nor'easters, I'm talking.
That's why I'm kind of glad Paul's in Miami. So we can be getting a blizzard up here, and Paul's down there on the rooftop in Miami with the telescopes.
Yeah, he'll be safe. But remember, he did that. Remember what happened with him in the hurricane?
Yeah. They're few and far between.
True.
Oh, but he's somewhat getting there. Hold on here. It's starting to want to, and of course a cloud comes out of nowhere.
They should, I would like to see, I don't know if they've done it already, the ISS should take a picture of California with all these horrible wildfires.
I think they did already.
They did?
I believe so.
I mean, wow. What's going on? I feel it's horrible what's going on out there.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's absolutely, a host for KGRA, L.A. Marzulli, he lost his house.
Did he?
Yep, everything. So people that I know are losing their homes, and then the people that are losing their lives.
It's just so dry, and the winds are just kicking at all over the place.
Yep.
You know?
Hopefully it will subside. And they're saying they're not expecting any rain for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's crazy. I heard they were shipping a lot of water in from, what was that, Colorado? Or something like that. They were going and filling up tanker trucks. Like they were taking a lot of milk trucks up there because some of them farms, cows all died. So they're actually taking like fleets of milk trucks up there and getting water.
I see he's trying to get it focused up.
Yeah. As I said, it might need collimating a little bit more. But it's not bad. But just wait. In the coming days, we're going to get it looking awesome.
Now Mom is coming here with a timer. Yes, it does have
With a timer?
Yeah, we're doing all the, you know me with Christmas.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I just got my tree out. It's sitting in my living room in a box. I haven't put it up yet. It looks like Christmas Village up there.
Oh, I added more lights today. No joke.
Cool. Yeah.
So what are you guys planning for the holidays? Thanksgiving?
Streaming.
Really?
Oh, we're streaming Thanksgiving night, buddy.
I don't know. I have to work on it later, Mom. Mom is trying to make me put this timer light on, and I got one hand this way, the other hand the other way.
So everybody listening and everybody watching on YouTube, don't forget, after you're done your lovely meals with family and friends, and you're kicking back with a nice glass of wine, feel free to turn on P&K Space Imaging and enjoy some lovely laid-back tunes.
That sounds
and some
like
moon views.
Oh, and speaking of watching, I don't know if anybody's ever watched this on their televisions.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you want to talk about spectacular?
Just wait. It's going to get better.
Oh, I have files, and we have a YouTube channel. I can't remember the number. But I could watch this on my TV.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Or I have my monitor is my TV. So I could just go to full screen and see this on my big screen TV.
Oh, I know what he just did. He used the moon for focus.
Good idea.
Now he's jumping back to Mars.
Good idea.
So he used the moon kind of to collimate a little bit. I see what he was doing. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but live collimation, ladies and gentlemen.
You are going to bring the scopes, obviously, when you come here for Pine Bush next year, right?
Obs. Yep.
Good, because we're definitely going to have quite the bit of the gathering here.
Yeah, we're going to put those projectors to use.
I don't know if Travis Walton's going to come stay, but he's not staying here. He's staying in a hotel because he's coming in and coming out, flying out. But I'm hoping that I can get him at the airport, and he has time if he comes in early enough to come to the house. Because remember, you guys will have everything set up, and it does get dark kind of late that time.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I have to pick him up at the airport Friday and then drop him off at the airport on Sunday. I'm going to be insane.
Which airport?
Newark.
Oh, Jesus. Why?
I wasn't going to JFK, I could tell you that.
Here's what you do. You start setting like $15 a week aside now. And when the time comes, you get an Uber to pick them up and bring them up and take them back.
Yeah, but you know what? Tom Reed is coming. He's going to stay for the week, actually, almost.
But still, that's a lot, man. Going from your house all the way down to Newark twice in 3 days?
He's bringing his stretch limo, and we're going to pick up Travis Walton in the stretch.
Who has a stretch limo?
You were there last year. Remember the guy with the stretch limo?
Yeah. Okay, Tom Reed, yeah.
Yeah, yep. We're gonna take a ride and pick up Travis, and then all
right, we'll just jump down into PA and pick me up too while you're at
it. We are going on a special private trip to UFO Monument Park in Massachusetts.
Road party.
Next year is the 50th anniversary of, and they're coming out with a big movie.
Yeah. Now Tom Reed, he's the one that
he spoke.
I know. I'm trying to remember what his topic was. It was interesting. I know that.
His family had a big time
That's
encounter.
What it was. Yep.
So he's going to take us, and we definitely all got to go to Nuclear Lake.
Yeah. I was ready to do that last year. But then again, with the tornado, I can understand how everything got messed up last year.
Last year was chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun next year for Pine Bush.
Cool.
Is he still trying to?
I think he's trying to see through the clouds at the moment because this is the time of night where they just come out of nowhere.
I see that
off the cooling ocean.
I can see that.
And we're down below 30 degrees, so it's getting kind of low in the sky. Not too bad.
Still, now it looks like either he's switching or we got clouds, serious clouds coming.
And for anybody that doesn't know, I put all this information on screen now. It's because if we do catch something, this is all information that we would want just to have the data. So if you look at the position in the sky, we look at the degree, like how high it is. What you see right now is like 28.89 or 83, depending on when it comes across YouTube.
And
of course, the illumination, of course, we got 44.9%. And then on the side here, I decided to put a Miami, basically like weather center here. So just so we know what the wind was, the humidity, the dew point, the pressure, and all that kind of stuff, just in case we need it.
And if you have any questions, we do have the Facebook Astro Imaging Live for any of us. You can post questions there.
Yep.
And you can even go to the Astro Imaging Live and email us. Because I've been getting emails.
There's a message center on there I just figured out we had.
Yes.
There was tons of messages in there.
I didn't see. All I know is I got an email from a school that's doing a project, and it had a bunch of questions, and I sent them to Mark.
Awesome. So
yes, you can contact us through either means. You can through Facebook or through the website astroimaginglive.com, as you see on the top of the screen.
Yeah. Which we're working on trying to get permanent live links on there. So bear with us while we do that. There has to be a way to do it.
Yeah, it's a hassle.
Because if not, as of right now, we have to go in there and we have to change the link every night.
Every night.
To what it is live. And a lot of nights we don't get to it.
I just don't get why they just can't use our main streaming code to do it.
I know, especially because once you're able to set up your own custom URL, you should have a permanent URL live, stream live. So it should say like youtube.com/watch, and then it has, your channel name, and it should say / live, and that should be it. But I have no idea.
I think I believe we get the emails coming from Astro Imaging Live. So you got to check out the astroimaginglive.com website. And there is an area there that you can email us.
Yeah, it's like a contact area or something. Yep.
Yeah.
But a lot of traffic does come from there. I mean, a lot of people look at it online and actually end up coming and hanging out on YouTube from it, especially since the chats aren't seen on Astro Imaging like they are on YouTube.
This is a global community.
Yep.
As you mentioned, the areas where everyone was from earlier.
Yeah, all over the place, guys.
So that's awesome to see that people are putting their input from everywhere. And this is why I say it's really important. This is not just a great experience to see what the moon is going on, but it's also bringing people together.
Yeah. Like-minded people.
Yes. And that's always a great thing. Where people come in together and have a good time and enjoy. We all can enjoy. This is I hate to use the word, this is universal. Mm-hmm. It really is. It brings people together.
And everybody's doing the work. It's not just, of course, Paul's doing most of the work, obviously. Poor guy's out on the rooftop, especially in the summertime when it's 95 degrees still at, 10:30 at night in high humidity. But everybody that's coming here and everybody that's watching the stream is actually doing the work. Your eyeballs are the work, watching for stuff. It's not glamorous. It's not overly exciting most nights. But you never know when it's going to happen.
Agreed. That's the great thing about live streaming. You just don't know what's going to come. Anything could happen.
Well, how the bow tie UFO that came across, I was wrapping up, and the text was on screen, and it went behind the text, so I couldn't see it. So we stayed on the air another 15 minutes or so, and luckily I still had the direct feed from Paul, so I was able to pull the clip from the direct feed, and actually have the full clip without the text on it. So we never know when it's going to happen. And it's awesome when it does.
That's what makes it all the worthwhile.
Yep.
When something does, that's when I stream. I say to myself, it could happen anytime. But if, like you said earlier, if you're not watching and if you're not doing it, you're never going to see it.
Yep. It's just plain numbers. The more we stream, the more we up our percentage chances.
And it's a passion. You got to be dedicated. I'll tell you that right now. Because there's a lot of work behind the scenes that makes this happen. And that's for anyone that does YouTube streaming.
Well, once again, we'd be doing this if we had 1 million people watching or, just me and Paul.
I say the same thing.
We would be doing it because, number one, YouTube is a great way to, as a, warehouse to keep the videos, nice and free. Storage-wise. But we do have 2 off-site recordings. Paul has one, and I have one going here in PA, just in case anything.
When you're both doing this, and if you change one life in a positive way, that makes it so meaningful. Right now, people are dealing with a lot of stress in their lives. They come here to relax, to watch the moon. You don't realize the service that you can be doing to people from all different types of backgrounds and in their own personal lives. You may have somebody coming in here for the first time, a child looking at the moon with their parents, a kid with the parent, and looking at this like, this is what the moon really looks like.
We had an 11-year-old kid come in from New York City, from Brooklyn. This is some months back.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he never saw the moon, didn't believe it.
Yep.
He said he never bothered to look up. He said it was always just this light in the sky, that he saw this little white light, never really paid attention to it.
Light pollution. Yeah.
Until he actually saw it here. And now, he says he makes it one of his missions to look up every time it's out.
I get the same thing happening on my channel when somebody says, that's the first time I've ever seen a meteorite streak across the sky.
Yeah.
It makes you feel, you feel that, wow.
It's great. It's great when people that don't normally get to see it, especially people that live in cities, a lot of light pollution, people that live in areas that maybe, especially when it comes to because telescopes are expensive, very expensive.
Yes.
And it's nice bringing that to people that you wouldn't have the, option to see it otherwise.
Totally agree.
No. Take the UFOs and everything out of it, just the view of the moon itself.
And I just want to say this, too, to everybody that's out there. When you have people that are watching this stream, now, they may not be subscribers, so they may not be able to participate in chat. But just realize, when you're dealing with people from all types of age groups, and you're putting in stuff in the chat that deep in your core, is BS. But you may have somebody that's new in there. Just remember that your words carry a lot of meaning and can be influential to those that have never experienced this before. So when you put in stuff that's flat earth and all this other stuff, and there may be people that are coming in new and seeing that, they're very easily influenced on the language that you're saying. And now you are now handing that same nonsensical belief system to them, and it's not helping. Just when you think about it, don't think about yourself. Think about the others that when you put stuff like that in there, and that other people may be reading it and being influenced by it. Your words carry a lot of meaning. So just think about that when you're expressing yourself and you're putting your opinions. And this is not to control anybody's opinions, just being more responsible to some of the stuff that's out there and just trying to do the right thing by others, because you're setting an example to others.
Right.
That's just my easiest, the best way I can say that.
I think that's a good thing to end on. What do you think?
I think that's a great thing. But I'll end it on this. You guys, and I've always said this, and you know that, are not just one of the best streams, but two of the greatest persons I've ever met in my life. You are incredible individuals, and I hope that one day people somehow, some way, get to actually meet you guys in person when you're doing a public event like you did in Devil's Tower or some other future event, because these guys are really awesome folks, and they put a lot of hard work and resources and time to do this. But at the same time, I don't want to speak for Keith, but I'll say they highly appreciate you taking your precious time to be here and being a part of P&K Space Imaging.
Absolutely. And I thank you for the kind words.
I'll end on that note.
You're the man, Bill.
And so are you guys.
And I definitely want you to put your link to your channel in the chat. Once again, Bill does a lot of the meteor showers. And the camera he has is absolutely, and just normal sky watches. It doesn't even have to be a meteor shower going on. If you want to see the sky at night, and he's up there next to some military bases. And once again, it's the Hudson Valley, New York. It's one of the UFO hotspots. of the past. And we have seen stuff, and you have caught some crazy stuff as well.
Absolutely. But I never say it's alien. I'm very careful. I just say it's unknown. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the one that looked like it warped out of the solar system, that was awesome.
That was crazy.
But yeah, you definitely want to check that out, especially when it comes to meteor showers. But if it's just a normal sky watch, kicking back, chilling with friends, it's kind of like just we have here. You'll have some people in on Skype. It's a good time.
Oh yeah, that's right. Susie just made a comment. Weather permitting, I will do the Leonids this upcoming weekend. Even though it's a small shower, it's only like 15 an hour if on a good night. But the big one is the Geminids, December 13th, the night of to the 14th, the morning of. That is the big show other than the Perseids every year.
Fingers crossed for clear skies, too.
Over 50 an hour at its peak. That's money.
Yeah.
That should be awesome. So
I like how you did the highlight for the last one, too.
Oh, yeah, I caught a couple, yeah. I
did
that.
That was awesome. Do you have a link for your channel?
Can't they just click on my name?
I'm not sure. I don't even know if that works anymore.
I should just put it's Bill NY space Skywatcher all one on YouTube. But if I say good night to everyone, you hit the three little dots to the right of my comment, and you can go right to my channel and you can subscribe. But you know me, I'm humble. You know I don't ever really talk about myself. You know that.
Doesn't matter because we like the conversation, and it's good conversation, and you do it over there as well.
But I will say this selfish plug: make sure for those that are interested into the paranormal and the UFOs and all that other good stuff, come join me on KGRARadio.com, where I produced the majority of the shows that are aired on the channel. And if you're interested in people like Linda Moulton Howe, Richard Dolan, Don Ecker, the list goes on and on, Micah Hanks, they're all there. Come hang out. I produce Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays nights. So that's where you'll find me on my weekends while these guys are doing this awesome stuff. And I get jealous sometimes that he's streaming and I can't hang out with him because I'm doing shows.
That's the sad part about working weekends.
But here's another thing I want to say, too. I'm putting you on the spot. You have to come on a show with Paul in the future and be guests and talk about what you do.
Okay. We already got to the nice part to be on Commander Cobra.
Yeah. That was
what cool. A nice guy he is.
All right. Anyway, to everyone, have a great night, morning, day, wherever you are. Great to see everybody in this chat room. All great folks, very respectful, and great comments. Even if we agree to disagree, that's what it's all about. Your opinion matters.
Yep.
And it's great to see everyone being interactive and being a part of this. So kudos to all of you.
And thanks once again, Bill, for joining me tonight and for the good combo.
Absolutely. Anytime. You know that.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
All righty. Have a great night, Keith.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Bill, New York Skywatcher. I did put his link in the chat. We're going to wrap up for the night here because clouds are moving in. I just talked to Paul. They're going to start moving in pretty thick here shortly. But once again, we'll be back at it tomorrow night. And then, of course, the long streams on Friday night and Saturday night. Being that the weather is good, we're going to go for it again. And maybe I'll have Mark on one of those nights. And maybe another guest or two, instead of doing music over the weekend. So let's hope. So with that being said, I'll let us play for a little bit, and then we'll just wrap up, and we'll go back at it tomorrow night. So thanks for joining, everybody. Let me just do one real quick. This is who I have in the chat. I have Big B and Bill and Danny and Hypersonic, James, Jennifer, Mr. Boone Dangles, Pamela, Paul, Preston, Ralph, Richie, Sick, Simon, Susie, Ted, Tim, and Tom. That's who I have as active participants in the chat. So thanks you guys as well. And once again, we will see you guys tomorrow night at dusk. And keep your fingers crossed for clear skies. I'll talk to you guys then. Be safe, everybody. And